Welcome back to another edition of the Rodcast. We like to call it the Hump Day edition of the Rodcast, and we got a lot to get into on the show. We'll talk some Texas football. I feel like it's a little bit of Groundhog Day and not the good kind. Once again, discussing a season ending injury at the running back position already in training camp for the Longhorns. We'll dive into it. We'll discuss it. Also, because my man Patrick's working hard for you, we got audio from the player availability yesterday. Quinn Ewers, Jade Barron, two of the leaders on this team on offense and defense. We'll hear from both of them and get into some conversation about the players and how they're responding to the big injuries at the running back position. We'll also get into some NFL news, notes, and nuggets. The Cowboys aren't winning Super Bowls, but they're winning. Oh, they are winning. We'll discuss what the Cowboys have accomplished, achieved, that set them apart from every other sports franchise on the planet. We'll dive into that. And it's been crickets on the Brandon Ayuk story, whether he's going to be traded or not. Now it seems we've come full circle in the Brandon Ayuk saga. Looks like now he and the 49ers are close to a deal. We'll get into that too and what that means for CeeDee Lamb. Oh, and yes, it looks like the hold in for Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Bengals is over. Looks like we may have a hold out. He has not been seen at training camp the last couple of days. Some people believe that means that Jamar Chase is trying to make a statement about his contract. Hey, Jerry Jones, it might be time. It might be time to get that deal done before Jamar Chase ends up setting the new record for a wide receiver in the wide receiver market in terms of average annual salary. We'll get into that too coming up and what that means. We'll also talk other NFL news, notes, and nuggets on the show. There's some Texans discussion. Texans talk I want to get into a little bit later on. We also have all your usual favorites, of course. We'll have what the facts, what the stats. We got your topic for the big fat poll of the day. We got off the record. We got who said that. We are loaded as usual. But before we start any of that discussion, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He's one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. Not sure what he's paid. I'm pretty damn sure this man is underpaid. Ain't no 401k for this hustler, and he's a hustle man of many talents. It's our friend, co-host, and neighbor. It's Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, Patrick? How you doing, brother?
Doing good on a Wednesday morning. Watching the Astros last night get their 7th straight win. That's always nice to see the Astros playing some good baseball right now. So enjoying watching that. But it's a good day for some football. I know we got bad news again.
We do have bad news.
You got bad news again when you hear the news and you see it's you say no, it's not ACL. No, it's not an ACL. They don't fear an ACL, and you go, okay, they don't think it's ACL related, and then you get it's still season ending. So not good, but gonna look positive. I heard some of the player availability yesterday, and they were being very positive about it. They seem to have a very good mindset about it. So
yep.
We give you a little bit more. Should give you a little bit more faith that these guys feel like they're ready to go. They're ready for the next man up. They're ready to go and attack the season.
Yeah, we'll hear from two of the leaders on the team. And Patrick got that audio for you, Jade Barron and Quinn Ewers, and how they are reacting to the injury bug hitting the running back room really early on in training camp. And also we'll get their thoughts about how training camp is going for them and some of the other guys. Great audio from Jade Barron and Quinn Ewers. I mean, they answered a lot of questions. So we'll get to that coming up. We go behind the burnt orange curtain. But of course, we'll start out with, yes, the unfortunate elephant in the room, which is the injury bug hitting the running back position hard at Texas. So you have two running backs out for the season already, week into training camp, basically. And now you're down to 3 scholarship running backs. So now start talking about the contingency plans that Texas must put into place to make sure they can either safeguard themselves from injury, and then how is this going to change the scheme, the strategy, the tactics for start going into the season. So obviously that's a question that we'll try our best to answer coming up here today, but we also get into a lot of other topics. I want to get into some Cowboys discussion. There have been some injuries and some updates for Cowboys training camp, especially on the offensive line. We'll get to that. There hasn't really been an update on the CeeDee Lamb situation, but I do believe the wide receiver market overall, you potentially have some movement there with Brandon Ayuk and Jamar Chase, and that, of course, will affect the negotiations for CeeDee Lamb. So we'll talk about that coming up when we go into some NFL talk next hour. But first, let's not waste any time. Let's get updated. Let's get educated. Let's get informed first with all the top stories of the day, and then we'll come back here on the 40 Acres and talk about the Texas running back room. But first, my man Patrick Davis and the Horn Headlines.
All right, Horn Headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. In the MLB, the Astros got a 3-2 win over the Rays and their 7th win in a row last night. Jeremy Pena and Alex Bregman got solo homers, and Yusei Kikuchi got his 2nd win as an Astro, pitching 5 2/3 innings, allowing 1 run with 5 strikeouts. Houston will try to sweep their 2nd straight series as they send Ronel Blanco to the mound to face Zach Little this evening. And the Rangers dropped another game to the Red Sox 9-4 yesterday. Jose Urena picked up the loss, giving up 6 runs in his 4 2/3 pitched. The Rangers pushed 4 runs across the plate in the 6th inning, but could not rally against the Boston bullpen. Dane Dunning returns to his starter role tonight for tonight's game, looking to turn around his luck, having not pitched in a winning effort since May. And that is your Horn Headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn Headlines. Appreciate those. Well, starting here close to home, it was a simple, once again, he did the same thing when C.J. Baxter was injured and they had to reveal the diagnosis to the public. It was just a simple statement from the university, and this one is as well. Texas freshman running back Christian Clark sustained a torn Achilles tendon in practice on Monday, will undergo surgery and be out for the season. I feel like it was like exactly the same. It wasn't obviously verbatim, but for the injury to CJ Baxter, it seemed eerily similar. And yes, I feel like we are in the sad Groundhog Days of training camp right now for Texas. So let's talk about it. I think the number one thing that Sark is going to do is move bodies into the room, because that's what you need. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but now that we know it is worst case scenario, he's out for the season. Definitely got to move bodies into the room. You had the question yesterday, your topic for the Big Fat Poll today: how many guys would you move into that room? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Like I said, I think it's 2, and I think you do it immediately. And I don't think if you're a Sark, I don't allow those guys. Well, I wouldn't like those guys if I were Sark to be splitting time at different positions. You need them to focus, because they're going to be learning new footwork. They're going to be learning, new. There's going to be new fundamentals for them, depending on if they're switching from offense or defense. I know hopefully you got guys with a background who played some offense and played some running back in high school. That would be ideal. But either way, you got to get these guys used to pass protection. They got to figure that out. Ball security, the footwork's going to be different. The alignment and assignment concerns, because Sark has so many moving parts, because he loves pre-snap motion shifts, and we all love it too. But that can be really difficult for a young player to pick up. So you want to do all that now, and you don't want to have to in the season, because knock on wood, the truth is this coach must prepare for the worst case scenario. You hope for the best, you pray for the best, but you must be prepared for the worst. And the worst would be if another injury happens in the running back room. And based off how last season went, it looks like, there's going to be another injury in the running back room. It may not be debilitating, and it may not take a guy out for the season, and we hope that is the case, but there's going to be a guy or two get nicked up in that room throughout the season. Keelan Robinson last year got hurt a little bit. CJ Baxter got hurt last year. Jay Brooks obviously got knocked out for the season. It's going to happen again. So to safeguard yourself from having to move other guys later on in the season to the running back position, just, move 2 guys. I would move 2 at least. I don't know who those 2 guys are going to be. We assume Darian Gallett's going to be one of them, because he's already splitting time between running back and linebacker. We learned that during the scrimmage. So he is one, and Sark implied that he was looking at multiple guys on both sides of the ball to switch positions. So, yeah, move 2 guys, do it. Hell, that probably should have been addressed yesterday, honestly, truth be told. That should have been addressed yesterday, and I don't know who the 2 guys are going to be, but Gillette is easily the front runner for the top, and he's got some weight on him too. I'll go look at his weight.
He's 6'3", 235 listed.
Yeah, he's huge. I didn't realize he was that big.
Yeah, so that's a guy that has clearly put on some weight. I think he missed his senior year due to injury. So
Okay.
I think that he's basically been training to come back and be this guy. He was one of the top outside linebacker recruits from his area, but he played on the offensive end of the football some too in high school as wide receiver and a quarterback. So he's got a little bit on both sides of the ball. He's clearly already split some reps, so he understands the running back room enough. But when you talk about a guy that we've talked before, do you have somebody that can run A gap, B gap? You have somebody that can run in between the tackles. And if you want to tell me a 6'3", 235 guy, I would believe that he might be good at that. And so if you're talking about trying to add the variety of guys you could add in that running back room that might be able to just put their head down and get a few yards for you, might be able to be used in the red zone, that's a guy you might be able to use in that position. And so, it's a way that he'll probably get on the field some.
I like that.
That linebacker position, he's going to have to wait his turn, which he can always go back to again if he needs to, or he can stay at the running back position if he takes to that. But that's one I think is pretty easy, and I think Niblett would be an interesting one to put in there as well. And you could say both those guys you could try and work into that Wildcat and see if either one of those works. Darian Gillette looked up; he played some quarterback his sophomore year of high school, so. That's most athletic guy in the locker room can play quarterback in some places. So, I don't know how much his passing ability is in that Wildcat, but you don't really need a ton. So, I think both those guys, you could see if they could work in a system like that and just try and keep your options open. It's one thing Sark's offense has had is they have a lot of options. They have a lot of ways to attack you. And so I think the guys that you add in, you want to add variety in instead of just kind of adding more guys in. And I think Gillette and Niblett may be able to give you a couple of those options.
Yeah. No, look, everybody's doing these background checks now, and on all these guys from high school. No, it's good stuff there. I love it. And I didn't realize either because he's a great athlete coming out. Was it Teague, Texas? Teague. How about this? I didn't realize it. He was first team 3A All-State as both a receiver and a punter.
Yeah.
That's a hell of an athlete right there, man. That's amazing. It kind of goes back to if they have that kind of athletic profile, then there's a better chance they can adapt.
Yes.
And evolve and acclimate to a position better because they do have an athletic background that wasn't so specialized and specific. Like I couldn't do that. Like you can look at Robbie and go, yeah, maybe Robbie can play some running back. Like no, it's not my background. Didn't make sense. Not in my athletic profile. I was more of a specialist and I was more of a technician, just doing what I do. Did it decently, but that was my thing in football. But there are some guys who they do have that athletic profile that will translate to them switching positions. So in addition to Darian Gillette, because I love that idea, and like I said, I didn't realize he had put on so much weight.
Yeah,
and 6'3", 235. That does make a lot of sense because you lost your power element.
Yes.
CJ Baxter was your power element in the red zone. I believe 4 out of his 5 rushing touchdowns came in the red zone. He was a big red zone weapon for you. I'm assuming he was going to be a big part of your goal line, short yardage, packages as well. And you lost that. You got to be able to fill that, the void somehow. And I'm not saying Darian Gillette's going to be that guy, but at least he gives you the frame for a guy that may be able to run in between the tackles because Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner. Jaden Blue, by the way, is an underrated, runner in between the tackles, but his elite trait is his speed.
Yeah.
And Trey Wisner, I think, also his elite trait would be his speed. Getting to your point about Ryan Niblett, in his sophomore season, he was named District 14 6A All-Purpose Player of the Year. So all-purpose can do a lot of different things. As a junior, he had 42 receptions, 759 yards, 8 touchdowns, but also rushed for 469 yards and 14 touchdowns. So was also a return guy. Played defense, played quarterback too.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I played wide receiver and corner in high school. That's it. And some dudes, they moved all over the field. They were just football players. These are the guys that have the athletic profile I'm talking about to be able to transition. In his senior year, he earned an invite to the All-American Bowl after his senior campaign, catching 55 passes for 1,088 yards, 10 touchdowns, and averaging 108 receiving yards per game. That's when he kind of like decided, or at least it was decided for him that he was going to be a receiver more than anything else. But the guy was just an all-around football player as a high school player, as a recruit coming out. And there's a couple of guys who, like I said, their background kind of fits this. Someone even brought up, and I didn't really think about it, but someone to me, they brought up Ty Anthony Smith, the youngster, the linebacker that just came in too. And I think he's up to like 220 pounds. But they mentioned that in his senior season, the 4-star recruit, he had 337 all-purpose yards. He had almost 250 rushing yards in a single game as a Wildcat quarterback. So it's another guy that potentially could be, Wildcat package. And he's 6'1", 225. So he's got that frame that you're looking for. Another player who's been mentioned, and I didn't think about it either, Jelani McDonald. Now he's in your 2 deep at safety, but you are pretty deep at safety. You like Derek Williams, you like Makuba, you like Taft Daddy, Xavier Filsaime, Jordan Johnson, Rubel. Hell, even Jadae Barron now is getting reps at safety, which we'll talk about that, but he can play anywhere. And Jelani McDonald was an athlete coming out. He played both sides of the ball, 11-4A Division II offensive MVP after running the ball. He had 852 yards and 9 touchdowns. He had 4 separate games of 100 yards rushing. Also completed 33 passes for 707 yards and 13 touchdowns. Guy's a hell of an athlete. 6'2", 205, has that athletic profile I'm talking about. A guy that could transition easily to another position. Someone also brought up to me that Kobe Black is a guy that in high school was more of an athlete, that now they're specializing at corner because, that's what he will project to. But in high school, he was just an athlete during his high school career, played offense, defense, and special teams, had over 750 career rushing yards and a few rushing touchdowns, along with 1,200 total yards from scrimmage at the varsity level. That's another guy that we're just trying to, kind of psychoanalyze Steve Sarkisian. What he said, he's looking at a couple of guys on both sides of the ball. What guys would those be? I think those are a few of them that may have made the list. Also, Juan Davis. He's looking at a Wildcat quarterback. Juan Davis also fits that mold. He rushed for 790 yards, 12 touchdowns on 107 carries as a senior in high school. That's a guy that's taking the snap, so he could project to be a Wildcat option for you if you need it. So those are, like I said, I don't know if all of them are on the list, but I guarantee a few of those guys are on the list. And I think they would bring some of that versatility and variety that you're going to be looking for at the running back position. But right now you need bodies. You need bodies, number one. Variety would be nice, but you just need bodies right now. And I like the Gillette thing. That makes a lot of sense because he's going to bring an element you don't have right now in that running back room.
Yeah.
That's power.
And again, he's playing a position where he's probably not going to really see the field at linebacker this season. No. So that's more of anything. We talked about it yesterday in his press availability that he was, it was taking that look at it of, are we going to hurt another position? So, you can mention a guy like Kobe Black, but you look at that secondary and you say, I'd rather not take anybody out of that DB room right now. I'd rather be building up that DB room. And they're kind of in that mode of trying to build that room up a little bit more. So when you look at you'd like to build up your linebacking room as well. But at the same point, I don't know if I think you could move him over and still be okay. Niblett, you have tons of wide receivers. So looking in the rooms where you have a little bit more, versatility and you have a little bit more depth in it, those make more sense. But it is interesting. And it'll tell you another reason why you see there's less panic on some of the people at Texas face. It's like, man, we have 20 running backs on the roster. They're just not all running backs right now. But we have plenty of people who know how to run that have trained at it, who have been coached up at it. So the transition is not, we're handing someone a football and go, do what you think a running back does. These are guys who have taken reps, in pass protection. These are guys who have at least seen and know what the playbook's supposed to look like as a running back. So, you feel like that transition could be a little bit easier.
I will say DB is deeper than you think because you have 2 guys that play every position in the secondary.
Yeah.
You got Makuba and you got Jadae Barron who literally play every position in the secondary. So it almost manufactures you an extra guy almost at every position. So you have more depth than you think there. Also, they're cross training probably as much as any position right now. They're cross training everybody.
No,
everybody
and I
in the
agree.
secondary is playing multiple positions. So with that aspect, I will say that they're a little bit deeper than you think. So I'm not saying all these guys are going to be moved over. I'm just saying that those are the guys that fit the athletic profile. But DB is deeper than you think. That's why they're cross training everybody.
No, I agree.
They want to manufacture depth there.
When I say depth for Kobe Black, I mean that I really want to see him as a better DB next season. And so
I agree.
And
well,
so
all
that's
these guys you like to see, but we're in an emergency situation.
Yeah.
That's kind of my point. So
but I think if you move
you're considering all options.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm with you on that. But yeah, I think like a Gillette is a guy you can look at and say, we don't know where your future is at linebacker yet, but we do know we can put you here. And if it works here, then maybe you stay. And if it doesn't, we move you back to linebacker and it's fine. The same thing with Niblett, where I don't know if you're with Kobe Black. I'd like to see him just, and again, once you get in the regular season, you're not really going to be coaching him up more. It's just reps. I know that he mentioned him the other day, so that's why I kind of like that he may get some playing time this season just to, try and advance him. But as a young talented guy, but I'm with you. It's you want to have everybody on deck. You want to have those conversations with guys so that if you going down the season and knock on wood, nothing else happens. But if you get to, hey, we need to throw somebody else back in there. You have guys that are ready to do it. Some guys that might be ready to step in that place. So I'm with you on that. That's a room that I think that they've worked on building this offseason a lot. Is why I'm saying it.
Yeah. No, I know it's definitely been upgraded, like a lot of positions on the 40 acres. So I think ultimately the first step for Sark is, move two guys, whoever they are. Honestly, move two guys, and I would consider looking at a guy like Juan Davis to be your wildcat option too. In addition to the two guys you move in there.
No,
because now you're gonna need guys to fulfill roles. You don't have a short yardage back necessarily. You don't have your goal line guy. You don't have a wildcat guy. You really don't have the complementary pieces in the pony package if you're going to run that, if it doesn't become scarce now with the injuries at running back. So right now you're trying to look for guys who can fulfill certain roles, and it's hard to really see that. At least who are going to be your perimeter speed backs. You got that. That's Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner. Now you're going to ask Jaden Blue to be more of a guy who can be an interior runner and be effective in some of your interior gap runs. And that's something I think that they were hoping that you would have a complementary skill set with Jaden Blue's speed and Cedric Baxter's power. And now you may have to ask Jaden Blue to take on some of those power runs in those gap schemes.
No, and I like the Juan Davis trick play ability to have a guy that you can put out and line up at tight end and then switch and have Quinn, run out to that wide out position and him come under the center. And all of a sudden the defense has to go crap. What are they running right now? I like plays like that. It's a trick play. You can't run it a lot, but if you need a yard or two and that's a little thing you can get away with, or, you want to try and throw some in the red zone and see if they stick on Quinn, or you throw them the ball. Just those little trick plays. I like those.
Well, Sark has done that before, though. Sark did that with he's done that with Cade Brewer. Yeah. He actually did a tight end sneak with Cade Brewer.
Exactly.
UTSA did it against Texas twice.
No,
I believe.
So
it's actually something that people have done before. Yeah. Texas has seen it and Texas has done it. I want to say Texas may have stole it from UTSA when they did it.
Not claiming to be a genius over here. Just
no. I'm just saying I'm just pulling out there's examples of it. So you're right about that. That could easily be something that Sark does. He's got it in the playbook. I like that idea, and we'll see exactly. I think we'll learn by the end of this week who's been moved. Hell, we'll probably learn today who's been moved. They'll definitely ask Sark about it, and next time he addresses the media. And I think it's going to be Darren Gillette and Ryan Niblett. I just think those will be the two guys. Yeah. That's the prediction. I know we talked about obviously all the candidates, but I think it'll be those two guys. They make the most sense. As you're talking about, as you've talked about and we've discussed, those guys aren't necessarily in the rotation at those positions either. So it's a easier sales pitch. Hey man, do you want to play? You got a chance to play with this move. And that's why that makes the most sense. And then I would consider, like I said, the Juan Davis thing should be a consideration. Yeah. So it's three guys you should at least consider moving or shifting over there. Juan Davis, I don't think that would be that big a deal. He knows the protection schemes. He plays tight end, so he knows protection and the H-back stuff. That it would be for him. It would be less of a dramatic change. I think for him it'd be pretty easy just to sort of go in the running back room and take some reps over there, whether it be drills or we're talking about ball security drills, whatever it may be, footwork drills. For Juan Davis, I don't think that would be that much of a transition. So
no, the Juan Davis one is all the really good things they've said about him at tight end.
They love him. Yeah.
Is I think even if he, they gave him a little extra and had him play, I think he'd still be lining up at tight end for him, and then also stepping back in that running back role at some points. But it would be, you wouldn't take him out of being a guy who's going to be in your lineup a lot to be a 4th-string running back.
Yeah, the rest of the guys you switch full time. Juan Davis, just put him over there part time.
Yeah, and we have this boutique formation with you in, and we have this for you in, but otherwise you're a tight end, because that would be you're literally taking a guy and saying we're going to give you less playing time. You were going to be a guy getting several snaps at tight end, and now you're 4th or 5th string running back.
Yeah, not as good of a sales pitch.
No.
So I think, we'll hear that pretty soon. Then we'll talk about the strategy and how it changes for Sark. I do think he's got to tailor his approach, tweak his approach a little bit. I talked about that yesterday. Now I'm just going to double down that philosophy. We'll talk about that coming up later on the show. Shout out to my man Nash at Nash Talk Texas. He does great stuff when he's analyzing Texas football. He loves baseball probably as much as he loves football. But he threw this out there via Twitter for those who don't think Jaden Blue can run in between the tackles. And I believe these are his pro football focus numbers that he pulled. Jaden Blue in between the tackles says here for Pro Football Focus. They go by gaps. So they go like left in, left tackle, left guard. So middle left, middle right, that kind of thing. They have Jaden Blue, based on his calculations here, averaging almost over 7 yards per rush inside, 5, 10+ yard runs, running in between the tackles. So I think Jaden Blue can run in between the tackles. I really do. And he's gained weight and he's going to be more powerful. Now you got to bubble wrap him, though.
Yeah.
That's why you got to move those other guys immediately, too, because you can't have Jaden Blue taking too many reps in practice.
Yeah.
Wearing them out. You got to bubble wrap him. Protect Jaden Blue. I don't know exactly how you do it, but he definitely needs to pitch count now every day. One of the subjects that you and the coaches need to discuss, you and your choice. What's my Jaden Blue, Trey Wisner pitch count for practice? What are we doing? After we in team and in our inside drill, whatever it may be, we can't necessarily be wearing those dudes out. You're at that point now. That's not a luxury you have. So move those other guys so they can get reps, not only so they can acclimate and get better and obviously familiarize themselves with the position, but you just need Jaden Blue to stay as fresh and as healthy as possible. Trey Wisner as well. I think both of those guys, because those are your 2 lead backs. Because you can't afford, knock on wood, to have anything happen to them now until the season gets going.
Yeah.
So that's a concern for Sark. And that's not anything you really can control, but I guess you can, like I said, it's a pitch count and bring in other guys. Maybe you tell that maybe he's a green jersey guy. Maybe you give him the same jersey you give the quarterbacks. And it's like, hey, we're thudding. We're thudding this dude. We don't tackle him.
Yeah.
He gets a thud. You thud Jaden Blue, you thud Trey Wisner, everybody else, hey, knock their block off.
Yeah, because with Gibson, I mean, you still got to teach him ball security. So there still is those points of you need to make sure he's got in the right place in blocking and everything else, because you need him to take a huge step forward. Because again, we're talking about, I know the Christian Clark injury is big because of depth, but he was, going into the season 5th string.
Yep.
So we look at that and we can say, you just need other guys to step up, because now we see Jarrett Gibson is 3rd string. He needs to step up. But if he plays, the better Jarrett Gibson plays, the less anybody else is really going to have to be in there. And you can make them more boutique players. You can make a different red cat, which, if Gillette finds out the red cat or Juan Davis has a red cat, we have to think of names for them now too. We couldn't even think of the Niblet red cat name.
That's going to be tough. Yeah.
The creative
department.
One
cat. Is the one cat? Is it just going with the one cat?
The one cat.
I don't know. It seems pretty easy. You just take the person's name and then you put cat at the end of something. Not rocket science here. It's like the celebrity couple names. I mean, you just take half of the, one person's name and with the other half of the other person's name, and boom, you get Brangelina. I mean, it ain't rocket science here. So yeah, I think the one cat works really well. I like that better than what did the texter say yesterday?
Oh,
the
catnip.
Oh man, we can't do it. Can't do it. Got to find something better than that. All right, we come back. We'll hear from the players. We'll hear from Janae Barron and Quinn Ewers about how training camp is going, what their expectations are for the season, about the injury bug hitting the running back position, all of that and more when we return right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming back on the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team. I got a couple of stories I can share with you, but the first time I went to Dr. Eckert's office, strangely enough, I walked in. I got a little bit of dental anxiety, which, by the way, they specialize in easing that dental anxiety. But I walk in, and first thing I see is actually a lady crying. I thought to myself, see, this is why I don't come to the dentist's office very often. Well, I was wrong in my assumption. I thought she was crying because she was sad. She was not. Actually, she was brought to tears of joy. She had looked in the mirror and seen a beautiful smile that she had been given by Dr. Eckert and his team. She had always been insecure about her smile. It affected her self-esteem. It affected her quality of life, affected her confidence. And now all of that changed. All of that changed overnight for her because she had gotten the smile she always wanted from Dr. Eckert. He can do the same for you. That's right. Tears of joy in a dentist's office. Yeah, that's what you get at Dr. Eckert. That's how special it is, right? You're talking about, a great revolutionary alternative right now to dentures. And right now, he can give you a brand new smile in just one day. Permanently secured to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You'll get temporary fixtures first until they complete your permanent smile, and you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. So we're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, or you have dentures, or you've been told you need dentures, first learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just one day. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. U. So it's a complimentary consultation. You got nothing to lose, but so much to gain, because a confident smile can truly change your life. And Dr. U wants to change your life for the better. He changed my life for the better because when I went there for a routine checkup at one point, they found that all of my wisdom teeth were growing in sideways, and I was on the verge of a disastrous situation, extremely problematic, but it wasn't, because I was in good hands. They made sure I was informed about the process. They got everything scheduled, had the procedure, and I was back at work within a couple of days. And now my dental health and dental hygiene have never been better, thanks to Dr. Eckert and his team. He can do the same for you, whether it be general. Hopefully, it's not as serious as having all your wisdom teeth removed, but any general dentistry or teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Eckert and his team are all about. So give them a call today, 512-345-3166, 512-345-3166, or visit dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get to some Texas football conversation. Like we don't talk a lot of Texas football anyway, but we're actually going to hear from the players here as we go behind the burnt orange curtain. Thanks to my man Patrick working hard. We got some player audio from Jade Barron and from Quinn Ewers. So let's get right to it. Let's hear from Jade. Talking about, of course, the injuries that have hit the running back room and injuries overall. Let's get his thoughts there, and then we'll get his thoughts about training camp and about the season. But first, here is Jade Barron talking about those the injuries that Texas has already sustained.
Yeah, we suffered a lot of injuries. I've spoken to one of the cats that got injured. And I just told him kind of within life, like you go through things, and I told him just to lean on God and not your own understanding. Everything's gonna be okay. It's His plan. We kind of don't, we don't see it as humans. We don't see it at that moment when something happens. We kind of see it for what it is. Like, dang, like it's bad, but at the end goal, you'll see the maturity level of the cats that got hurt, and you'll see on the flip side that it was supposed to happen. It was God's plan. So.
Ooh, getting deep on you. I like that. Minister Jade right there. I take a Minister Barron. All right. So here is Jade talking about Makuba. Both these guys represent Central Texas. They got a lot of pride about the 5-1-2. And Makuba coming over from Clemson has played a lot of big time football. Something else they also have in common. They both play every position in the secondary. They both can play corner, safety, and nickel. Here is Jade Barron talking about Makubas.
Amazing. He's a smart player, well experienced. I'm gonna speak highly of him, not just because that's been my guy for 10 years, but he's a smart player. He knows the ins and outs of the football. If he's beat somewhere, he knows how to recover and win on the back end. But that's a very smart player. He's good to have him in the back end.
I agree. Good to have both of those guys on the back end. Longhorn fans feel good about that. Something else Longhorn fans feel good about, Jade Barron's versatility, something I just talked about. He's playing, I think they're working him, cross-training him at every position. Here's Jade talking about playing outside cornerback and outside DB.
Honestly, it's been good. They've moved me around, safety to all, safety, nickel to corner. And I think it's good because, if something happens there at a position, I kind of know the feeling if that person, if I was at nickel and I didn't get a deep enough drop for the safety, I kind of know the feeling. I know what it feels like. So just knowing all the ins and outs of each position, just kind of helps me to be in a better position, and it makes me a smarter player, knowing what's happening over there and what's happening over here on a more of a better standpoint.
Yeah, NFL scouts are going to love it too. And I told you guys before the season started, what was my recommendation? You should move him around. Why, if he can play every position, why are you keeping him in one place? That's you're making it easy for offenses to be able to game plan against you because one of your best players is always in the same place. If you can move that guy around week to week and they don't know where he's going to be, trust me, it makes it really tough for them to game plan week to week. They'd really like to know, all right, these are certain plays that we can run here against this specific player because this is their strengths and weaknesses. But if you're moving him around, it also means you're moving a lot of other pieces around there too. But here's Jade talking about the challenges of nickel. I think nickel's tougher to play. I played nickel and corner. Nickel's tougher to play than corner is. Corner challenges you a little bit more athletically, but nickel challenges you so much mentally. Here's Jade talking about the challenges of playing that slot corner.
The challenge it is it's kind of reading like red light and green light and those things, just knowing when it's run and when it's pass. It's a bit of, I wouldn't say it's a bit of a challenge, but it's just kind of be on high alert and always ready for something. Like I said, like nickel's that position where you can be in the play like every single play. So just kind of being on high alert and what's coming, read option, line screens and things like that. But at nickel, it's kind of a give it away. You can give it away by just looking at the line. They'll tell you if they're trying to break the glass, it'd be a run and things like that. So just kind of paying attention to your keys and stuff like that.
There you go. See, he sounds like a football investigator, don't he? He's just telling you exactly. They'll give it away. Trust me. Once I diagnose and decipher the clues, they'll give away essentially what the play is. Told you guys, he's a football investigator. That's how his mind works. But I love the fact he talked about. I talked to Quandre Diggs about this, a guy who played nickel and corner and safety in the league and at Texas, and he loved the nickel because it's the most action. It's like hell, you're in the multiverse. Anything could happen there. I mean, you could be blitzing one down, covering a receiver the next down, taking on a pulling offensive lineman one down, being setting the edge one down, dropping back in his own coverage the next down. I mean, your mind's all over the place. At corner, I'm pretty much doing the same thing over and over again. I'm literally trying to repeat like the perfect rep, whether that be I'm playing off coverage or I'm playing, bump and run. I'm trying to make it all look the same. It'll never look the same at nickel, down to down. Always looks different.
And that's he kind of talks about where he's like, at nickel, it is every play you're basically going, don't screw up. Because if I drop too far back and it's a run play, I screwed up. Or if I come up too early and they show it over the top of me, I screwed up. So you have to be very, very conscious pre-snap every play to not get tricked into something and you're in the wrong spot, because you will blow a play up just by where you're at pre-snap. Not even what you do in the play, totally pre-snap.
Yep, it's exactly right. Your alignment initially, and everything happens faster the closer you are to the football. Yeah. So actually, there's no time to process it, nickel. It's all reaction. It's all reaction, and it's all instinct. So if you don't have a really instinctive player there who's got great football instincts, move that guy. Get him the hell out of there. Because you just need, there's no time for you to, at safety, you got time to process. Hell, I'm 12 yards away from the football. I see everything develop. I got about a second, almost, it feels like to process it. Everything moves so much slower at safety. And you got time to see things develop. There's no time like that at nickel. So you must get a guy who just reacts really well. That's why it's just you got to have a natural football player there who's got natural football IQ and football instincts, because they're not going to have time to process it. Corner, you got a little bit more time. I can read the 3-step. You don't read no 3-step at the nickel. You're too close to the line of scrimmage. There's no reading the 3-step. It's all reaction, and Jahdae Barron really does fit that. Okay, getting to the next one here. Jahdae talks about the next one about who's made the most progress this camp. And started talking about his teammates a little bit. Here's Jahdae on which one of his teammates he thinks has progressed the most so far.
Myself. Nah, but without myself, I would say all the guys, honestly. All the guys showed a lot of improvement. We've moved everybody. They moved everybody around. So we have a lot, like 6 guys playing 2-3 different positions. So just the versatility that we have in the back end is good. And it's just good to have and good depth to have. It's going to be a long season. We have a lot of games ahead of us. So just having that depth, and I'll say everybody came a long way, but I'm loving everybody in the back end, honestly.
All right, that's Jahdae Barron talking about the progress of his teammates. All right, now here's a good question. Jahdae Barron was asked about who are the toughest wide receivers to defend of this deep wide receiving core Texas has. Here is Jahdae Barron.
I would say, just to speak on the whole core of the group, it's like 8 of those cats that can move. They all have improved, but I would to hit on somebody, Silas. He makes strong catches. He's a heck of a ball player, and he may be little, but he has some heart. He has a lot of heart to him. I love Silas, and routes. They all run routes differently, and they all have different speeds and quickness, and when to turn it on and when to turn it off. But I've been loving Demo's performance, and how he's been running his routes and things like that. And now he's picked it up, and he was behind Jay Witt, so he's learned a lot on being that player. If you need a block, he's been stepping up in the blocking and run game and things like that, and on the perimeter. So I'll say those 2 guys as of right now.
All right, there you go. Silas Bowden coming up again. I tell you, when you go out there and watch him, he does stand out. He stands out because he's small, number one, but then he makes plays. He's a playmaker. Here's another cut. Here's this JB talking about the pass rush, which apparently has been constant and consistent so far in training camp. Here's Jahdae Barron.
Most definitely. Always having a good pass rush helps us in the back end. It helps up the timing of everything. Routes nowadays is based off landmarks and timing of the receiver's routes. So the pressure they've been bringing in, and then the leadership for Sorrell and Vernon and AC, of the leadership of the group they've been having and controlling that room, it's been tremendous for us.
All right, that's Jahdae talking about the pass rush. He's right. Makes your job a whole lot easier as a DB when you can get after the QB. Speaking of QBs, let's hear from QB1 for Texas. Quinn Ewers was also at the podium, spoke to the media. Here's Quinn first on. You just heard Jahdae Barron talk about the receivers and how Silas Bowden has stood out to him. Here's Quinn Ewers when he was asked about the young receiver Silas Bowden.
Yeah, when he first got here, I could just tell how much he cared about the game of football and how much he really wants to succeed. And, seeing that from a guy like him, and him being able to go into the receiver room and, show, how he can play whenever you care that much about the game. And Jahdae is correct on all those things. He's been balling out, and it's cool to see a guy like him do the things that he does.
You see where he described it? Spud Webb. A guy like him do the things he does because when you see him, you go, no, that dude's not about to go out there and do dudes dirty. Oh no, not him. He looks tiny. Man, I'm telling you, it. He's got, like I said, he's got some uncanny skills for a guy that small. He plays so much bigger than he is. But here is Quinn. When Quinn was asked about some of the other receivers, he asked about Jonte Cook and DeAndre Moore. You heard my man Janae Barron bring up DeAndre Moore, his route running. Here is Quinn Ewers discussing those two.
Well, I mean, first off, I think the biggest thing for them is just being more comfortable within the offense and knowing what to do in certain situations. And I think another big thing is they're starting to understand, why Coach Sark is calling this play instead of calling another play. And I think just their understanding of the game has improved a lot. And again, I think they both got to sit behind guys like Jay Witt and AD and Xavier, so they got to see what it looks like. And I think they're in a good position right now.
All right, Quinn talking about how the wide receiving core is improving. How about his own improvement? How about the self-improvement happening? Here's Quinn discussing one of the things that even Sark has admitted he wants Quinn to improve on is stepping up into the pocket. So here's Quinn Ewers discussing that evolution of being a pocket scientist.
Definitely has been a big point of emphasis, especially in drop back. I mean, I kind of made it muscle memory and play action, but it was more so in drop back that I was struggling with stepping up. And I think this camp has been great for me. And ultimately I've been able to step up more and, again, make it more like a muscle memory type thing and drop back. And I mean, it just gives me more time and, less chance of a sack fumble and me trying to run away from all these other guys coming at me.
All right, there you go. And it seems to me he's also talking about sack avoidance in there, right? And avoiding, a sack fumble by a player by using the pocket to buy time, but also to create space. We've talked about this with him. He's got to improve his sack avoidance. That's what NFL scouts want to see. Part of that is him stepping up in the pocket. All right, we'll hear more about Quinn stepping up as a leader and his thoughts about the injuries next time we go behind the burnt orange curtain. We'll do that coming up later on the show. But for now, let's go to the break, and then we'll come back and get into the topic for the big fat poll of the day, and also dive into the musically themed day of the week right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Babers coming back on the horn.
Back on the Rodcast on a Wednesday morning, and that means it's a One Artist Wednesday where we play one artist all show long, celebrating their career. And today it's Dire Straits. Mark Knopfler's birthday was this week, turned 75 this week. So playing some Dire Straits all show long here on the Horn. Let's get to the big fat poll of the day. Text line's open. 512-447-3776 is the text line number, and we will get this question posted up on X at the Horn ATX.
Patrick's big fat poll of the day on the Horn.
So with Jade Barron speaking to the media, I thought we'd get away from running backs for a day. Thought we'd stay away from him for a day. Stay away from him. We're still going to talk Texas football, but I thought we'd stay away from running backs for a day. We will go. We're going to go to the secondary for today, since Jade Barron was speaking about it, and I was looking into some stats from the secondary. We've talked about making havoc plays. We've talked about Sark's emphasis on turnovers this year, and so I was looking into the interceptions from a year ago to this year to see who may be our interceptions leader, which will tell you where the question is going. But the question for the day, we'll just say it now, will be who will lead the Longhorns in interceptions this season.
I like that. It's good.
And when they were looking, they had 9 players with interceptions last year. 3 of them are returning. 6 are gone.
Yeah, because last year, who was among the leaders? Jaron Thompson,
Terrence Brooks were both on there. Both of them are transferred out. Jalen Ford had 2. Yep. He has moved on to the NFL. Then you had Jeb Bush had that one.
Taft Daddy.
Jeb Bush had the one that went off the foot at the end of the season.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that was a freaky one.
Jordan and Keaton Crawford both had one as well. Both of them are gone. But Manny Muhammad had one. Jade Barron had one, and Michael Taft had 3.
I would say Taft Daddy had.
So Michael Taft
had 3 straight. I wouldn't say it was like 3 games in a row.
So he is returning as your interception leader of last season, Michael Taft.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you had 16 interceptions last year. 5 of those are players returning, which 3 of those are Michael Taft. So you didn't have a lot.
Yeah, Taft Daddy. I mean, he's assignment sound, so he'll be in the right place. And if you're in the right place, you got a shot to make a good play on the football. That's what Taft Daddy does. So I'm not surprised by that. I mean, some people are, but I'm not at all.
No, and so
yeah, that's a good question. Manny Muhammad should, but the corners don't get as many chances at the football as you guys would think, especially once you get a reputation for being a good corner. They're gonna throw at the other guy. Why would they throw at you if you're the best corner out there? Why would I throw at Malik Muhammad when I can throw at a guy? Nothing against Gavin Holmes, but he right now he's the other corner. When Nick Saban is saying, I'm worried about the cornerback spot opposite Malik Muhammad, and you're the other corner. I know the other corner because I've been the other corner. I played opposite Quentin Jammer, who was drafted in the top 10. I played opposite Nathan Vasher, who went down as the all-time leader, tied for the all-time lead in interceptions at Texas. Would you rather throw at those guys or throw at me? I'd rather throw at Rod B, the other corner. That's what I'm saying. That's who I've been that guy. And to me, he'll get a lot of chances. Gavin Holmes, if he's got good hands, he'll have a good chance to lead the team in interceptions because they'll be throwing at him instead of Malik Muhammad.
Yeah. And so I
had a good chance to lead the team in interceptions too, but I never did because I kept dropping them.
No, but then you also say, what about the safeties? Jaron Thompson had 3. Michael Taft had 3. Andrew Makuba has 1 in his 3 years of playing. So Makuba is not a ball hawk necessarily, intercepting a lot of balls. He had none last year. So Makuba is not one that you're thinking is probably going to lead the team. He maybe something he's going to improve on this season, but he has not been one that has been a big interception player. So Derek Williams didn't have any last year as well. So that's another guy at safety. Michael, so that's a question. I'll tell you the 4 that I have listed right now that I'm going to put up there and tell me if I'm off base on this, Rod.
Like this.
Michael Taft, we got to put him up there. Led the
Taft Daddy, yeah.
He had 3 last year. Jade Barron, got to give him some respect. Put him up there. Malik Muhammad, putting him on there. And then the 4th one I'm going to put on there, it's a little off. I'm going to put Anthony Hill on there because I think he's going to be playing middle linebacker. Jalen Ford had 2 last year. Anthony Hill doesn't have one yet, but he could be playing that position. Linebackers could get some.
I don't disagree with that.
I'm going to put him as my 4th player on there.
I don't disagree with that. He's a spray baby. He's comfortable out there in space.
Yeah.
I remember somebody telling me at 7, I used to watch him at 7. I think CJ Vogel. So I was my man CJ Vogel on Texas football. Said he would watch him at 7-on-7. Said at times he was indistinguishable from the DBs in terms of speed, his reaction time. That guy is comfortable in space. And remember, Jalen Ford, I believe, led the team in interceptions, but 2 years ago in 2022. Remember, he had that great year, should have won Defensive Player of the Year in the conference. I believe he had 4. He had 4 interceptions that year, if I'm not mistaken. So it can happen. It can happen. I'm with you.
Yeah,
That's not
so
crazy.
that's what I got 4. Is there anyone I'm leaving off? I mean, like because we can only put up 4.
I mean,
so
you
there,
can only put 4 on there. If you
so-
want something, you can list it. But
yeah.
I'm
If
with
you could say Phil Simi or Jalen Gilbo, or you could put him a Kuba. You could put some other. There's other defenders that are going to play some minutes.
Derek Williams or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you could say any of those guys. I can only put up 4, so those are the 4 that I am putting
I
up.
like your 4. I like your 4.
But yeah, let us know if you have another one too. Feel free to throw it in there. If you've got a good reason, tell us why you think somebody else is going to be the leader in interceptions. But I'm just curious who we think is going to lead in interceptions, because there is an emphasis on trying to create turnovers this year. Sark has mentioned it several times. So if we know there's an emphasis on creating turnovers, that'll be one of the pieces. They don't return a lot of that. So who's going to step up into that role?
Yeah, Sark is describing attacking the football. He wants guys to attack the football. No, I'm with you. I don't, and it's really not an easy question to answer. Like I said, it could be four different guys, and you could have guys tied. I believe you had a lot of guys tied for the team lead last year, didn't you?
Yeah, Jaron Thompson, Michael Taff, and Terrence Brooks.
Terrence Brooks.
We're all tied right there at 3.
You can have one of those situations.
And yeah,
I totally
then
can see that too.
Jalen Ford had 2. So that's why I put Anthony Hills, because you did have your second is
in the last
linebacker.
2 years, I think he's had. I'm saying he might have had more than anybody if you look at that 2-year span for Jalen Ford. So I'm with I like that Anthony Hill pick. That's a good question. That is a good question. I think you'll get I think you'll have the vote be pretty split too, actually.
Yeah,
with that group, and you'll hit people listing their own, because some people will be like, "Hey, now it's going to be Derek Williams is going to lead the team in interceptions. You know, have a breakout year, something like that. Or it could be, Makuba is going to be that guy, whoever it may be. All right, let's get back to some NFL discussion on the other side. Thanks to Patrick for the topic for the big fat poll today. We'll discuss some Texas football, of course. But on the other side, we got to talk about something the Dallas Cowboys achieved that sets them apart from any other sports franchise on the planet. We'll discuss that. We'll also talk about the Brandon Ayuk saga. Apparently, we've come full circle now. And the 49ers have right now the best odds at retaining their star receiver, Brandon Ayuk. We'll talk about what that means for the CeeDee Lamb negotiations with the Dallas Cowboys. And there are whispers that Jamar Chase, that he's tired of waiting on a new deal from the Bengals. And he may not be so amicable in his negotiation tactics. We'll discuss that on the other side. And that will also affect the CeeDee Lamb contract negotiation with the Cowboys. I'll give you a hint. It's giving CeeDee Lamb more leverage. All of that and more when we return right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a One Artist Wednesday. Y'all know what that means. That's where my man Patrick, my co-host, the Ideallionaire, that when he goes deep into the catalog, down the rabbit hole into the catalog of one specific artist to celebrate them, and usually he has his own reasons. And today, that special artist for One Artist Wednesday, the feature is Dire Straits. And I gotta admit, I have not really been introduced to Dire Straits. I know Dire Straits.
Katie never got you into it.
No, I never really, I never got into it, but I gotta tell you, I like the vibe. I like the energy of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like the vibe. I know I'm not disrespecting them, but it just never was something that was introduced to my musical palette.
No, Dire Straits, cool band.
Yeah, I like it.
Had some big hits. So we'll get through them. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I like that one though. That's nice. But that beat has been used before, right? Am I tripping about? Or is that original? Is that?
I mean, I would assume that's the original, but
it's been used. I mean, my point is it's been used after that. But are they the original?
Yeah, I would assume Walk of Life is Dire Straits.
Their original. That's a great beat. I mean, that beat's unbelievable. All right, there you go. My man Patrick always hooking you up on a One Artist Wednesday with all the musically themed days of the week, of course. He also hooks you up with the topic for the big fat poll of the day, get the conversation started, get you thinking. And once again, it's Texas football related, but this one's a little bit more optimistic than the last couple. The last couple have been, they're focusing on of course, the big story, unfortunately, on the 40 acres that the injury bug has hit the running back room hard. You had another season-ending injury to Christian Clark. Now, he was a guy, 4th, 5th string in the running back room, but at this point, you need all the bodies that you can get. So now CJ Baxter out for the season, as well as Christian Clark, the freshman. So you are now down to 3 scholarship running backs in that room. So we've been talking a lot about that. We'll get back to that conversation, but we don't want to bring down and make the whole show sad and depressing. So other topics, and of course, there are the Longhorn football topics that we have to address, and that's what Patrick is getting into, the topic for the big fat poll of the day.
Yes, big fat poll of the day today. Who will lead the Longhorns in interceptions this season? I gave you 4 options on X. If you've got another one, let me know. Give me the reason, though. If you've got another one, I want to know the reason. Maybe you can just say it's a hunch. But the 4 I have listed is Michael Taft. Did have 3 last season, was leading the team with 3 last season. Jahdae Barron, Malik Muhammad, and Anthony Hill, now that he is moving more into that middle linebacker spot and being in a little different spot of linebacker where he's not going to be rushing the quarterback necessarily as much, maybe dropping back in coverage a little bit more than he did last season. I think his interception number could go up.
No, I'm with you. Like I said, Jalen Ford led you in interceptions in 2022 at the linebacker position, and over the 2-year stretch, I think he had 6, and that was more than anybody else in a 2-year stretch at Texas. In that last 2 years. So I could see it being a linebacker, and Anthony Hill, I think, is probably more. I think he's more comfortable in space than even Jalen Ford was, just because I just think he's just more athletic. He has more athletic upside than Jalen Ford. Jalen Ford, of course, a hell of a player, but Jalen Ford was the lowest rated recruit in the class.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're just going back to recruiting rankings. They don't matter, when you obviously achieve what Jalen Ford's achieved, but getting back to the athletic upside and profile. I mean, you're talking about Anthony Hill, who was rated one of the highest rated defensive players in the country.
No,
so I just say that I think he's capable of some of the same things as Jalen Ford, but I think ultimately he can take it to an even higher level.
No, and I'll look up before we get to the next hour. I'll look up Johnny Nansen and what he's done with his linebackers at other schools at interceptions. I just realized that you get a new linebacker coach in there and see if he's
very true
going to be pushing more interceptions or what he's pushing there. If he's got techniques.
I know, and don't be shocked. I can see it not being Jahdae Barron too, because they move him around a lot, but that would help him. Malik Muhammad, I could see him, finishing with like a couple of interceptions, but leading the team once he proves himself as the coverage specialist for you, as your marquee cover corner, teams are gonna just throw at the other corner. And like I said earlier, I know that because I spent my Texas career as the other corner. Opposite Quentin Jammer, top 10 pick. Nobody was going to throw at that dude. Opposite Nathan Vasher, who finished, his career at Texas as tied with the all-time lead in interceptions. Why would you throw at that dude? That's stupid. And so they threw at me, which, like I said, totally makes sense. I would have thrown at me too. And I had my chance to make a lot of plays. I would have led the team in interceptions if I caught all the PBUs I dropped. There's a reason I'm top 5 all the time in PBUs, because I dropped a lot of those. Those were ish PBUs, not celebratory PBUs most of the times. And so I think, honestly, like I said, if Gavin Holmes it can catch the rock, he's going to get a lot of opportunities. and Malik Muhammad won't get as much. So Malik Muhammad's got the ball hawking ability, but I wonder if he'll get as many opportunities. Jahdae Barron is going to move around. Jahdae Barron makes a lot of plays, splash plays, havoc plays, which we'll talk about, but I don't know if they're all interceptions necessarily. Makuba could be another guy that he's not on listed here as one of the options, but you can put that below. I think he kind of reminds me of Jahdae Barron. He doesn't make a lot of plays on the ball, but he makes a lot of plays.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised, guys, if it's Taft Daddy leads y'all in interceptions.
No, I mean,
I know people want to hate on Taft Daddy. Listen, I know y'all got a thing against white safeties, and it's all good. All right, I've been here in Texas long enough to know y'all feel a certain way about white safeties, and I don't understand it. Blake Gideon still getting criticism. All right, it's my dog 2-1 still getting criticism, even though we did the Third and Longhorn podcast. Shout out to Jeremy Hills and Fozzie Whitaker, Nick Shuley, who's coming on, by the way, today. Nick Shuley, shout out for Setlist ATX, but Alex Okafor and Derek Johnson, the crew. And even on there, we did an interview with Aaron Williams, and Aaron Williams said, "Oh man, the key to our 2008 that vaunted secondary, it was him. It was Blake Gideon. He was the air traffic controller. He was the guy that was putting everybody in the right positions, making sure everybody was assignment sound." So I heard Coach Akina say, "Oh man, Earl Thomas would not have been an All-American if not for Blake Gideon, because a lot of the times Blake Gideon would make sure that he was lined up in the right place, and then Earl Thomas's instincts would take it from there because he was such a great instinctual player." And so, but Blake Gideon still can't get anywhere. By the way, has started more games than any other player in the history of DBU. Like no DB at Texas in the history of the university has started more games than Blake Gideon. Still can't get respect from Texas fans because it's something about being a white safety. People hate on Dylan Haynes. Did y'all know Dylan Haynes is 5th all time in interceptions at Texas career? 5th all time. Yeah, everybody hates on Dylan. Man, Dylan was terrible. He was trash. He's 5th all time in interceptions. They say the same thing about Blake Gideon. Trash. He started 52 games. Like, how can you be trash at Texas? Started that many games. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, it's something about the white safety. I know y'all feel a certain way, and I do believe Taft Daddy gets a little bit of that for his blowback, but don't be surprised if Taft Daddy leads y'all in interceptions again because he's assignment sound in the right place. If you're in the right place, just go make a play on the football. Just throw it out there. So I always give a shout out to the white safeties out there in Texas football history. Very underrated. They don't come along often, but when they do and they end up starting for Texas, you got to be special.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all the ones I see are very special, the modern ones. So Longhorn fans just appreciate it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Michael, the fact you're gonna sit there
and
watch last season, watch a guy go from walk on to playing big minutes to having 3 interceptions, in a season where that was the lead and on your team, and be like, well, we could do better.
No, everybody wants to upgrade over time. Like, but think about it. He went from walk on, as you said, walk on, and think about how many safeties you had transfer.
Yeah,
it means he's basically, and Coach King used to have a great way of being able to illustrate, the depth chart, because he would have you seated according to the depth chart. He would have you sit according to the depth chart in the room. And when he would walk in and he would make a move on the depth chart, he would walk in and literally do it real time. Like he would say, "Oh no, so-and-so, I need you in the second chair here. No, you got to move. You're moving back." And it was traumatic for everybody in the room because you're like, "That could be me." And I think obviously he was doing it on purpose because I think he wanted to instill that type of urgency with the group. But it was traumatic. And I think about Taft Daddy doing that, moving from probably the back of that room where the walk-ons probably had to start, and then as a walk-on who earned a scholarship and starting time at safety, he had to go through every guy on the depth chart that was in front of him. And there was probably 4 of them on the depth chart. And I don't know, I know they don't do it. Maybe Coach Gideon does it the way Coach Akina did. He is a Coach Akina disciple. He may do it that way, where you basically walk in there one day and go, "Hey, Taft Daddy, move up 1 chair, baby. There you go." And then the guy, and literally, what are you going to do? The guy in front of you, Coach told you to get up. You got like, "Hey, man, I need you. That's my seat now." Ooh. Tell you, I still get chills thinking about it. I never had my chair taken. I never hell no. I was too scared for that. But that's what I picture with Taft Daddy. You gotta respect that. Man. You gotta respect
that. No, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and if someone else wants to go take it, go take it. But until they do, what are you gonna tell me? You're gonna tell me they're all wrong?
Exactly. All the coaches don't know what the hell they're doing. He's out there getting starting reps. It's like, guys, at this point, I think he's proven himself and earned his scholarship. Yeah, so like I said, I can see it him being him too. But Janae Barron, I like them moving him around more. He said even in the media availability that he's playing corner, he's playing safety, he's cross training at nickel too, which is a really good sign. All right, good stuff there from the top for the big fat poll today. We'll also address havoc plays when we get into Rod's rant of the day. We'll talk about that too, since we got we're already talking about guys getting interceptions, talking about playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. We'll get into my research on havoc plays and havoc rate in the SEC, but also for Texas. So we'll do that coming up when we get into Rod's rant. But first, let's get updated, let's get educated, let's get informed on all the top stories of the day with Patrick Davis and the Horn Headlines.
All right, your Horn Headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. In the MLB, the Astros got a 3-2 win over the Rays and their 7th win in a row. Jeremy Pena and Alex Bregman got solo homers, and Yusei Kikuchi got his 2nd win as an Astro, pitching 5 2/3 innings, allowing 1 run and 5 strikeouts. Houston will try to sweep their 2nd straight series as they send Ronyo Blanco to the mound to face Zach Little this evening. And the Rangers dropped another game to the Red Sox in a 9-4 loss yesterday. Jose Urena picked up the loss, giving up 6 runs and 4 2/3 innings pitched. The Rangers pushed 4 runs across the plate in the 6th inning, but could not rally against the Boston bullpen. Dane Dunning returns to his starter role for tonight's game, looking to turn around his luck, having not pitched in a winning game since May. That is your Horn Headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn Headlines. We appreciate those. Really quickly before we get to NFL topics, a shout out to my man CB. CB says, Rod Babers, this season, Jake Majors will break Colt's record for the most games ever started by a player at Texas. I didn't realize that. Thank you for that, CB. I should have saved that for what the facts with the stats. Damn it! What am I doing here, man? Come on, what am I, an amateur out here? All right, my bad. CB, good factoid there. Appreciate that. Yeah. Also, CB, he's excited about your Dire Straits. One artist Wednesday, he said he remembers the video when he was a kid. That Dire Straits Money for Nothing video back in the day.
It's a solid video. It's a solid video. I
don't think I remember it. Okay, he's posted here. It's like animation on it.
We'll play it a little bit later. We'll give you some more stats about Dire Straits and Money for Nothing. It's an interesting. There's some interesting stuff about that song.
Really?
The history of it. It's just interesting. It's a weird. There's a little bit of weird
backstory.
Stuff
a little origin story stuff. Okay, I like that. Shout out to my man Chris Cavazos. If you want to hit us up via Twitter, you can do so too. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. Man, Patrick Davis at it's Patrick Davis. Right?
It's Patrick Davis. Yes,
it's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. You can follow my man Patrick as well. But Chris Cavazos threw it out there that there are expected to be 3 Caucasian cornerbacks make NFL rosters this season. Riley Moss for the Broncos, Eagles Cooper DeJean, and the Dolphins Ethan Bonner. He said the last time a white quarterback started a game was over 20 years ago, and there have only been 15 white cornerbacks in NFL history. Yes, I have a unique connection to the last white rhino. The Giants, they drafted me, and one of the reasons they drafted me was because they wanted me to be a potential replacement for Jason Sehorn, one of the last starting white cornerbacks in the NFL. Since my failure of an NFL career, I've always felt some black guilt about being one of the forces that took out the white cornerback from professional football. I was part of that. You're going to write the history of the timeline. Robbie was part of that. So since I started doing sports radio, sports entertainment, Austin, you guys know I've been on, I've been advocating. All right. And I've been on the soapbox for, hey, we got to bring back the white cornerback, bring him back. I've been suggesting different players that I want to play quarterback that are Caucasian that I think can handle it. And maybe my advocacy has paid off here. I don't know. I've been championing this cause for about 2 decades now, almost 2 decades, and they're making a comeback, the white cornerback. So that's good. It's like an endangered species when you find out, like, oh no, it's not totally extinct. There are 3 of them left. Yes, we must protect them at all costs. There are 3 of them left. Please protect them. That's how I feel about the white quarterback.
Is that why they're devaluing the market now?
Is that what DB has been devalued? Oh no, you know what? No, white quarterbacks are coming back.
Nope. If there's 3 white guys doing this, it's not worth it. Cut it out. Ain't paying you.
I don't know what it is, but I'm happy that they're making a comeback. I'm happy about it. It's a beautiful thing. So the white cornerback. This year, 2024, could be the year of the white cornerback. Just throwing it out there. You could have multiple white cornerbacks starting in the league. I don't know if that's ever been the case, but there you go. I always felt some guilt about that. So coming back. All right, let's hit this Cowboy story. We've been talking about this for a long time when it comes to the Cowboys. And my new saying for the Cowboys, I always say that they are the number one TV star on the number one TV show in America. Number one TV show in America is NFL football, period. You go look at the top 100 most watched programs in America, at least I was thinking 85 to 88% of them are NFL games. That's just real. And then the rest of it is like the presidential debate, and there's always like a couple of college football games thrown in there. And there's a couple of other political events like election coverage or something. There's a big election, something like that. Like it's usually, but this year it'll be like the debate. It'll be some election coverage, of course, because it's an election year. But 85% of the most watched programs in America are NFL games, and nobody boosts ratings like the Dallas Cowboys. They are the number one TV star. And I think a lot of it is Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the best promoter in sports. It ain't Dana White. All right. It's Jerry Jones. We mock him and make fun of him, but it's Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones has now achieved something that no other owner of a sports team in the world has done. According to Sportico, the Dallas Cowboys are now valued at $10.32 billion. The most valuable sports franchise in the world. First to ever crack $10 billion valuation. They've added almost $1 billion in value in just the last 18 months. Boy, Cowboys fans have been the most miserable in a long time. They've added more value than they've ever added in $1 billion in like the last 18 months.
When this story broke, do you think all the agents for like Micah, CD, and Dak were like, and you don't got cash? Y'all got no cash? Y'all got no money?
I ain't got it.
Come on now.
Yeah, because we know, and you've talked about this too, that's not necessarily your liquid money. That's not cash. And we talked about how cash is king, right? More of these players, they want 80% of these deals in these new deals in cash. They want big signing bonuses in cash. I think Justin Jefferson got $80-something million of a signing bonus. Like this, you have to give these guys $75 to $80 million signing bonuses. Dak, CD, and Micah. And that's a lot of cash you to have on hand. And then in addition to that, they want the contracts mostly guaranteed, even though they're not baseball or NBA. They don't want them. They can't be fully guaranteed. Well, the Browns did it. A couple of teams have done it, but for the most part, the NFL is trying to fight against that. But the players and the agents are now savvy enough to stay away from the funny money in these deals and only want the signing bonus and whatever is fully guaranteed in the deal. That's all that matters. And now these guys are getting 75% of these deals fully guaranteed. And by the way, that means for the NFL, they got to put a percentage of that money in escrow. And that's cash too, by the way. That's cash. So signing bonus, cash. You got to put a certain amount of that guaranteed money in escrow, cash. And with that being said, guys, that means when you sign these three guys within, I don't know, a calendar year, Micah, CD, and Dak, you're talking about you better have about a $250 million in cash ready to go, or more in cash ready to put aside and pay them. And cash money, straight cash, homie. And the Cowboys spend the least amount of cash of any team in the NFL. But like I said, whatever Jerry's doing, it's working because like I said, I think just because it's bad business doesn't mean it's bad for business. And I think that's Jerry Jones in a nutshell. Y'all like, man, why is he waiting so long to sign CD? Yeah, it's bad business. Don't mean it's bad for business. That's Jerry Jones.
Because y'all keep showing up. Y'all keep buying the merch, man. Stop buying they ain't changed the logo since I've been alive.
Nope,
and y'all still buying new. You got a hat. Just keep wearing the same. Don't buy. You're supporting this lunatic in his non-cash paying ways.
It's amazing. He's brilliant. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you look at the
brilliant.
Texans. You look at the Texans. It took 2 seasons to get everyone to stop coming to games. And it was really like 4 or 5 seasons that really, and everybody stopped going to games. People stopped buying merch. People stopped personal seat lines. They lost all that money. And now Cal McNair's shotgunning beers and wearing cool Bill hats because they had to figure something else.
Had to figure something out. Yeah. I said it is amazing. They haven't won Basically, you go look at all the, and we'll get into some of this about the Dallas Cowboys, but I will say this. I go back to this quote from Jerry Jones when he was just recently asked about CeeDee Lamb's contract negotiation, and I think he said the quiet part out loud. And I don't think he meant to, but he did. I think he was just tired of people mocking him and talking about what an idiot he was for not signing CD earlier, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And he said, I'm just going to say this to y'all. Give me some credit, okay? You don't think I'm good with numbers? You think I know how to add and subtract? Do I know how to talk and sell? I realize all the criticism, and I understand it. As a matter of fact, I try to stir it up. And I have since I got here. That's good. Be relevant. It works. That's Jerry Jones. And I think he said the quiet part out loud. And I've always said about entertainment and football, whether y'all believe it or not, it's still entertainment. In entertainment, you got to be good or you got to be interesting. And Jerry Jones knows that. And Jerry Jones would prefer to be both. But if you can't be good, oh, you better be interesting. And that's what the Cowboys are. They're interesting. No matter what you say, you can debate on whether they're good or not, but the Cowboys are interesting, and they continue to create storylines. I would say, and they like conflict, right? We talked about how the Cowboys is always some infighting, guys beefing with one another. There's always some contract negotiations going on. Why? Because, guys, if you're a screenwriter in Hollywood, you already know this, or you are a producer of a reality TV show. You need conflict. You need conflict. Conflict creates storylines, period. And you need villains. Villains create conflict. Conflict creates storylines. Boom, boom, boom. And Jerry Jones is brilliant at creating that. You know what I mean? He's brilliant at just it's creating it out of nowhere. Some teams don't even need that, but Jerry Jones, there's always a villain, even if it has to be him.
No, and I mean,
and that villains would create conflict, and that conflict would create storylines. And the Cowboys have infinite number of storylines.
But this is also like this that I realized is the thing that I didn't even realize was happening. And I was having a conversation with a friend. He was like, "Well, my wife wants to go to a Cowboys game now." And I was like, "Really? I don't really watch sports that much." And she goes, "No, but she watches the Cowboys cheerleader reality show, so she wants to go to a game now." And in a world where tons of teams are getting rid of cheerleaders because they're like, this is too much of a financial obligation, liability now, and the players and everything have to do about it. Jerry makes them on a reality TV show. He signs over and goes, no, we're going to showcase ours. And then they're bringing in new fans that watch that reality show, and now they're Cowboys people because they watch that show. And so I was like, you know what? He knows what he's doing. But it's at the same point if you're a fan of the Cowboys, it's really annoying because you're like, I don't care about any of that. I just want to win football games.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I get it. I know what y'all are. I get the frustration.
I get it.
But you cannot look at that. No, guys, that they are the first sports team to pass $10 billion valuation. And the frustration for Cowboys fans is this, and I'll give you all these stats because I collect them for the Cowboys, the ones that I think are just mind blowing. I think to myself, man, is there any organization that has to deal with really the amount of the underachievement, if you will, that the Dallas Cowboys have to deal with? So here's some Cowboys factoids about their lack of success that are just, like I said, I keep up with them because it's kind of mind-blowing to me. So Dak Prescott, he's 2-5 in his playoff career, by the way, tied for the lowest postseason QB win percentage in the Super Bowl era. That's a stat. I love Dak, by the way. The Cowboys are 5-30 since 1995. The Cowboys have not advanced beyond the divisional round since 1995. They're 5-13 in the playoffs since 1996. Dallas is the only team with 10+ losses and 5 or fewer wins in that time span. They get to the same point every time, but they cannot get past it. The Cowboys are the first, if you go look at it, they are the first team to win 12 games in 3 straight seasons and fail to make the conference championship in any of them. It's never happened. If you think these are as Cowboys fans, man, I don't think has any team been this successful and yet not been able to make it a deep playoff run? No, not in the Super Bowl era. No team has ever won 12 games in 3 straight seasons and failed to make the conference championship. The Cowboys they're the only franchise with 2 quarterbacks to play in 3 or more divisional round games without winning one. No franchise has 2. You got Romo and you got Dak. Can't seem to get past it. You know what I mean? There's only right now something's holding the Cowboys back, and it ain't talent because they had more All Pros than anybody in the NFL last season. This is the Cowboys' last season was their 8th one and done playoff performance since their last appearance in the NFC title game. And yet more All Pros than San Fran, than Baltimore, than Detroit, than Kansas City. What's going on? Like, what's happening? What's happening with the Dallas Cowboys? And ultimately, that's the frustration for Cowboys fans. If you're a Cowboys fan, think to yourself, man, it seems like we are the ultimate regular season team, and we are the kind of the most underachieving postseason team. You might be right about that. Considering the resources you have and considering the talent you have, you can make the argument that nobody has been a bigger underachiever than the Dallas Cowboys. But you're winning in terms of valuation. You are winning that. And that, to me, I'm not saying that's all Jerry Jones cares about, but Jerry Jones knows how to win championships. Hire football guys. He's done it multiple times. Hired Jimmy Johnson, won championships. Hired Bill Parcells, football guy, got really close. He knows how to win. He just knows if he hires a football guy, he's not going to get the credit. And he wants the credit. And he also wants the Cowboys to be the number one TV star and number one TV show in America. Can't have your cake and eat it too. Because if you get a football guy, they're not gonna want to be, the number one TV star. They're not gonna care about that. They're gonna care about how do we win more football games. And I think ultimately for the Cowboys, that's what's affected their hierarchy for years. So yes, it is Jerry Jones is the problem, but he's also the solution. He's the reason that your brand is so successful, but probably the reason your brand also underachieves. That's the gift and the curse. All right, we come back. We'll get into, we got to talk about this Brandon Ayuk and Jamar Chase deal. We'll do that on the other side too. And then we'll also get into havoc rates for Texas football and going into the SEC. All of that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Low Horn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get to Rod's rant. First, let's hit these NFL stories. Brandon Ayuk, apparently the Brandon Ayuk saga with the 49ers, him requesting a trade, narrowing down his choices of potential teams that want to trade for him. Remember, the 49ers at one point narrowed down the trade, the trade possibilities to the Patriots and the Steelers, and the Patriots took their name out of the hat, if you will, and they decided that they weren't going to pursue a trade for Brandon Ayuk, and then the Steelers apparently were the front runner to trade for Ayuk, and apparently those talks have stalled somehow. So and now it looks
the
like
the Browns were offering Amari Cooper a second and a fifth, is what it was reported, and that didn't go through because Amari Cooper didn't want to do it. Or sorry, Brandon Ayuk didn't want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon Ayuk didn't want to do it. So at this point, we have no idea where the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk stand. But Mike Garofalo, do we have this audio here? Mike Garofalo on NFL Network. He broke some news, and now he is claiming the latest report is that Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers actually may be closer than ever, to finalizing a deal to retain Brandon Ayuk as a 49er. Here is Mike Garofalo.
This situation has been uncomfortable. It's been contentious. It's still a little bit of both of those as we sit here right now, at least between Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers. I'm going to try to inject a little bit of optimism here, because you talked about that Instagram post the other night, Tom, where Ayuk said that there are two options. Let's just pick one, right? I dug into that a little bit, and what I've been told is that Brandon Ayuk would prefer to stay with the 49ers and has always preferred to stay with the 49ers, all things being equal. Now, they haven't been equal, but they did make that offer. In fact, both sides sent proposals within the last, couple days, week or so. And the 49ers number has gotten better than what it was previously. And they have, from my understanding, they have agreed on a lot of the main points of the deal. Their offers are in line, but it sounds like there's just one more thing that needs to be ironed out. And if that thing gets ironed out, Brandon Ayuk signs the deal. He stays with the 49ers. He drops the trade request. And finally, we can put this situation behind him, and the Niners can put it behind him. Look, they did the fourth quarter comeback with Deebo Samuel before, when he had the trade request. This would be like Montana to John Taylor, that kind of last second type comeback. But it can happen. It has happened before. Thank you. Trying to keep the theme going. Look, as we've talked about leverage. The ball's in whose court. As far as Ayuk is concerned, it sounds like the ball's in the 49ers court, and he's hoping that they can just make the final adjustment and get this thing done and stay with the Niners. We'll see.
All right, one final item left for them to negotiate, and then the deal is basically done. It's got to be, I would think, guaranteed money or years, maybe.
I mean, it could be a no trade. It could be something like that.
Could be a no trade. This dude don't want to be traded.
No, but that's my point.
He's the one that keeps sabotaging all the damn trades.
Well, no, but
so
he may have that may be the thing where he's like, I need a no trade clause because I understand y'all are going to need to open up money in like 2 years, and as soon as I sign, then you can just send me off wherever you want to send me.
That's true. Yeah. No, you're right about that. You can't keep giving skill position guys no trade clause.
I
that's
agree.
A quarterback thing. That's if that's what you're asking, you're not gonna get that from anybody in the league. Unless you're a quarterback. That's a quarterback thing.
It'd be the problem he's having.
Yeah, I mean, are there any skill guys in the league that have no trade clauses? I mean, maybe a Tyreek Hill's got something like that, but you got to be elite as a skill position guy to get a no trade clause, in my opinion. I'm not gonna be off like that. Maybe you guys maybe you're like the best at your position at a skill position. It happens, but I think that's a quarterback thing mostly. But times do change, and maybe that's why he can't get anything done. You're right, Patrick. If that's the case, yeah, ain't no team's going to agree to that. Not for Brandon Ayuk anyway. So we'll see. So apparently they're close, and Jerry Rice keeps hinting that it's going to happen today. Jerry Rice tweeted out yesterday, I guess we will all find out tomorrow. Will he stay or leave? At Brandon Ayuk. Jerry's pretty plugged in. Jerry's got like an office in the building there. So Jerry's plugged in. Jerry would know. So we'll see if the Brandon Ayuk deal gets done with the 49ers. That could be something that changes the market for, for CeeDee Lamb. Brandon Ayuk is asking for Amon-Ra St. Brown money, which is at least $30 million a year. And that'll put him in that rarefied air of $30+ million a year receivers. Right now, you got 4 of those receivers, and pretty soon you're going to have 5 or 6. CeeDee Lamb's going to get that kind of money too. Also, Jamar Chase. So they've been very cryptic, at least Cincinnati has, about what's happening with Jamar Chase, because he's basically been at training camp and not practicing, and he's not hurt. He hasn't been practicing during training camp. They say ostensibly due to him seeking a new contract. He has been present at the team's work as the team has worked on the field, but he wasn't on Tuesday. Now, some people said maybe that's because it was a lighter practice, potentially before they have to travel, because they're traveling to Chicago for joint practices with the Bears, and maybe he just didn't go because it's a light practice and they were getting ready to travel. But he has been holding in, essentially. The belief is that he's holding in and not practicing because he wants a new deal. And he has 2 years left after he picked up his 5th-year option now. He has 2 years remaining on his rookie contract. There are some people that believe, in Ben Baby, I believe, is pointing this out, that he believes that Chase is growing frustrated with the situation, that the hold-in basically is having no effect at all, and that he may need to turn the heat up a little bit in this negotiation. Yeah, because the hold-in's friendly. The whole point of it is friendly, it's amicable. And if you're there hanging out and they believe like, oh, he's first game, he'll be there. He'll put on pads on the first game. If there's no threat that you and obviously that you will hold out at one point, then the hold-in doesn't have as much effect. The thing with Brandon Ayuk was he was at one point holding in too, remember? But it was still pretty heated. There were negotiations. He was requesting a trade while still holding in. I haven't heard anything from Jamar Chase about Cincinnati and about this hold-in. Matter of fact, you wouldn't even know it was a hold-in unless you were really researching it. So he hasn't really been able to create the buzz I think he wanted from the hold-in. So
because their owner,
a holdout now.
Yeah, and their owner came out early enough and said basically, well, we don't have the cash to make the deal right now, so we're not going to make the deal. Like, I wouldn't expect that to happen right now. He said that a couple weeks ago, and I'm sure the Jamar Chase people, like, that's not an acceptable answer.
It is not.
And so we're going to wait. But, yeah, I'm guessing if, I think there is, especially at wide receiver now, where guys are, the feeling is if you guys show up, we don't need you to practice that much. We don't really care about it. Show up on game day. We'll be fine. Once we get to the regular season, we don't need you for camp. Like, we're not going to play you in the preseason. We're going to use you limited in practice because we don't want you to get hurt. So we weren't going to use you a ton anyway. So we don't care. Just show up for week 1 and we don't care. And for guys like CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Ayuk and Jamar Chase, it's killing them because they're all trying to negotiate and use that for leverage. But it's not like having a QB sit out where now you don't have the leader out there. It's that's fine. We got 18 other guys we got to work out at wide receiver to figure out who's going to make the roster. It's okay. We'll be fine. And I think that's where these guys are getting kind of screwed on the back end of the old school way. But at the same part, that's you gotta play that hardball if you want to go on both ends, and the ownership's going to play that hardball.
And speaking of the ownership, if you look at like the worth, like the net worth of the NFL owners, every NFL owner is worth at least $1 billion, except for Mike Brown.
Yeah,
Cincinnati Bengals owner. He's the only one is a little bit short of being a billionaire. He's at 900. He's worth like $925 million. So he ain't broke. But I mean, we talk about this all the time, right? More and more, you need the cash though. You need liquid cash for these deals. You can't just be like, your net worth ain't gonna pay these deals, because these guys want big signing bonuses, and they also want most of the deal. If they can get 75% of it, they want that fully guaranteed. And I think more and more NFL owners they're taken aback by this because they're just not used to it. They're not used to having to have that much cash on hand and to spend that much cash. And I just think that's a new reality for all the NFL owners. That, man, these guys, they're getting smarter. They're getting smarter and they're getting savvier about these contracts, and they want these deals in mostly in guaranteed money. And that's definitely so I'm not saying he was, just straight up being dishonest when he's saying he didn't have the cash. I think he may have been exaggerating.
Yeah.
But I think there is a cash flow problem potentially.
Yeah. And I mean, he just paid Joe Burrow last year.
You had to do that.
Well, no, but that's his point is you go, I just paid this guy. And then now his buddy wants to get this money. And then I got to deal. And then, when am I going to lose everybody else? Because I can't sign anybody else now. And it's, it is an issue.
Higgins want a new deal. And then T Higgins out there. Doesn't he want a new deal?
But yeah,
too?
T's going to be gone. We're aware he's going to be gone. I think the bigger issue is there's a defensive end that is having an issue too. One of the really good defensive players.
Yes. His name escapes me at the time. You're right. They do have a really
that is, he wants out because he's not going to get paid.
Is he's not holding out though, is he?
I don't think he is, but I know that he's not happy.
Yeah, he's not happy. Yeah, no, like I said, and like I said, that's a cash flow thing for them. All right, so those are, I think, two stories Cowboys fans have to pay attention to, because ultimately, if Brandon Ayuk's deal gets done, it's gonna boost his case or give him more leverage. And if I don't think Jamar Chase deal is going to get done here in this offseason. But if he holds out and he puts their feet to the fire, that'd be something that Cowboys fans also need to keep up with, because that is going to shift the wide receiver market even more. And you're going to have 6 wide receivers pretty soon, 7 making $30+ million a year. That's wild. You have more receivers making $20+ million right now than quarterbacks in the league.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. All right, we come back.
By the way, the name you're looking for, Trey Hendrickson, is
Hendrickson,
and he has requested a trade.
Requested, hadn't demanded.
Not
yet,
demanded, but he's requested a trade because he does not feel he's going to get another contract.
So they got 2 guys they got to pay. And sorry, that's no excuse as an owner. You got to get that done, and you got to get the Jamar Chase deal done, because that's Joe Burrow's guy.
Yeah.
And I think you got to get the Henderson deal done. Well, I guess they drafted Joseph Osai in the 2nd round. They probably got some pass rushers. Joseph Osai had a sack actually last week in play, but he's not Hendrickson. Hendrickson right now is one of the better pass rushers in the league. All right, good stuff there. We'll get back to the havoc rate discussion. I'll give that to you coming up a little bit later on the show. We'll also dive back into college football. StubHub released their most in-demand college football tickets and most in-demand college football teams. We'll dive into that when we talk some Texas football and talk some college football coming up next hour. We'll also get into the unfortunate elephant in the room, another season-ending injury in the running back room for Texas. All that and more. But first, we got What the Facts, What the Stats coming up next right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into some stats, what the facts, what the stats right here on the show today. How about this one? Over $21 billion has been wagered on sports betting in New York in the last year. I will repeat. Over $21 billion has been wagered on sports betting in New York in the last year. Why the hell aren't we legalizing sports betting other places? Do you think about the tax revenue you can get on that kind of money? By the way, Las Vegas is no longer the sports betting capital of North America or the world anymore. It's New York City. Like there's nowhere in the country they're having numbers, revenue like that from sports betting. They're just not. It's crazy, unbelievable. So that's, like I said, I don't know what's taking other states so long. Like between that and legalized marijuana, the regional revenue and the local revenue you could create is just insane. I think most of that's going to go to local economies and help with infrastructure and schools and stuff like that. So it would be really good. But I get it. A lot of people are afraid of the the side, if the downsides of that and the potential negative effects. I think you regulate it like you do anything. You tax the hell out of it, and you put in programs in place for people that are actually going to overindulge and abuse it. But it happens with everything. People abuse everything. They're gonna abuse it.
I hate to tell you, people are gonna abuse it even if it's not legal.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to let you know, degenerates tend to find a way. Not that I've known any in my life, but they tend to find a way.
I'm a degenerate, just not of the gambling variety. Yes. Are there other degenerate qualities I have?
And for multiple things, I've had friends who found a way.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's the best point to make. It's like they're gonna abuse it anyway. Why not tax it and get some
I think there's
local revenue.
I think there's some part of it is they always want to make sure the right people are making the money. People are making the money.
So the right people ain't ready to make the money yet. Is that what you're saying?
I think they need to put certain people in the right places and infrastructure and get things up so the right casinos can be open, the right sports books can be open, so that they're not giving money to people that are not going to give money back to those politicians that allow it to happen.
Yeah,
there has to be a loop because everything is.
What comes first in Texas? Legalized sports betting or legalized marijuana?
Sadly, probably sports betting, and I like sports betting more than I like weed. Right. But I quit smoking weed 20 years ago, but at the same part, I think one of them it's well past due, and the other one they're both well past due. But the marijuana one, the reefer madness still mentality here in Texas is a little bit ridiculous. I agree. It's been decriminalized pretty much everywhere here, even in Texas. By the way, in the bigger cities, it's been decriminalized. I think I'm with you. I think the marijuana thing, you're talking about helping quality of life. Like there are people actually, it can be a pain reliever. It can people who are addicted to, obviously, narcotics and things of that nature because they are using it, self-medicating because of pain and stuff like that. Opioids kill as many people in this country as guns do. And a lot of those people got addicted because it was pain relief and started, after them self-medicating and treating other issues and afflictions, and then they got addicted. Like I said, addiction can happen anything. I have an addictive personality myself. I get addicted to stuff that I really, really like. Got to watch that. We all got to watch that. Yep. Everything in moderation, including moderation. But I had a conversation with an NFL coach one time. He's like, "Hey man, if you could choose anything for your kid to be addicted to, weed's not bad." He said, because everything else will kill him. Pretty much, addiction of it is addiction is bad either way. But if you want to have the thought experiment about addiction to what drugs are. At least something that you can live with the addiction and it won't kill you. Marijuana, it's bad to be addicted to anything. Even bad to be addicted to fast food. That's a bad addiction. Addiction of any kind is bad. I can also tell you weed is probably the best thing to find out that you're an addict and to stop. Probably the best thing to be because even if you are, you should stop that too. But at the same part, it's probably the best thing of like, no, you can do this, and you just be an idiot for like a year, and then everyone will be like, dude, you're an idiot. And you go, okay, let me stop.
If you're a parent and you had to choose something for your kid to be addicted to, all right, you had to choose a drug for your kid to be addicted to, marijuana isn't bad. When you start breaking it down from that angle,
other choices,
yes, you're like, actually, it's not bad. Even like, I don't see some people I would choose marijuana over cigarettes. Like cigarettes even or worse. I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes back in my day. I loved me a good menthol cigarette. All right. I had to stop because the prices went up and my wife kept throwing away my packs of cigarettes. She would literally go through my stuff and throw them away. And I was like, I'm not buying cigarettes every damn day. And I'm not going to fight with my damn woman every damn day. So something's got to give, and the cigarettes are gone. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way it is. So you know, I know a lot of people who struggle with addiction. So I'm not trying to make light of it at all. And I know legalizing marijuana, you would add something to the play, but you'd add that to the play with sports betting too. People are going to abuse it. You just gotta, hey man, gotta have some, you know, you gotta try your best to get help if you need it, and stay away from that stuff if that can be something that can trigger you in that way.
I agree.
All right. As it goes, facts. Probably too deep into what the stats segment there. Didn't mean to get deep. We're just going over some factoids. We come back. We'll get into the Texas football discussion. We'll hear from Quinn Ewers. We'll hear from Janae Barron when we go behind the burnt orange curtain. We'll also dive into a conversation about the injury bug, which has just it has hit the running back room, and it has been a devastating pretty much early on in training camp. 2 season-ending injuries in that room now. You got 3 scholarship running backs to work with. We'll talk about what that means for Texas. What is Sark going to do? What's his plan tactically, strategically, even schematically? What's he going to do to try to safeguard against more injuries? And how does that change their plans going forward? We'll discuss all that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming away on the horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a One Artist Wednesday. That's when my co-host, the Idealionaire Patrick Davis, goes deep down the rabbit hole into the catalog of one specific artist, and they become the featured artist of One Artist Wednesday. And today it is Dire Straits. And because of a birthday that is coming up, correct?
Mark Knopfler had his birthday earlier this week. He is the lead guitar player, singer of Dire Straits. He had his birthday this week, turned 75.
Man, how long? So Dire Straits,
they were around the 80s when they were big.
80s?
Yeah, they're big in the 80s.
All right. Yeah, because my man CB pointed out that one of his favorite videos, 1985. That was like, what is it? Money for Nothing?
Money for Nothing. Everyone, it's coming up in the 9 o'clock hour.
Is that their biggest hit?
So Walk of Life was pretty big. Sold to Swing was pretty big. I mean, this one, So Far Away, was another hit. But Money for Nothing that's the one probably you've heard the most. The video is iconic.
I got you.
The intro to it is iconic.
The intro is iconic. Yeah,
there's a lot of things about it that have been, for years and years.
Yeah, it's been sampled actually a couple of times too.
But you gotta build on these theme days of the week. So we have to build to Money for Nothing because it is. You can't just start out with the big hit. Like that's crazy. And not the most upbeat bang.
Oh, is it? I don't know if I probably recognize it when I hear it, but I don't know it from memory. I don't know the song, but I probably definitely would recognize it when I hear it, of course. All right, there you go. Thanks to man Patrick for the top for the One Artist Wednesday and all the musically themed days of the week. He also comes up with the topic for the Big Fat Poll of the day. Patrick, let the folks know what the topic is for the Big Fat Poll of the day.
Big Fat Poll of the day today. Who will lead the Longhorns in interceptions this season? We've listened to some sound from Jahdae Barron today. So I was thinking about the secondary, and we've been talking about how they want to create more havoc plays and how they want to create more turnovers in that secondary and, in the defense in whole. So we thought we'd ask the question, who will lead the Longhorns in interceptions this year? They lost a lot of them over the offseason. They had 9 players with interceptions last year. 6 of them disappeared in the offseason, either transfers or graduation, and went into the NFL. But right now, the 4 options that are up there: Michael Taft, Jahdae Barron, Malik Muhammad, and Anthony Hill. Right now, Jahdae Barron leading the way with 38% of the vote. Michael Taft, who had 3 last season, was the lead for the Longhorns last season, 30% of the vote. Malik Muhammad with 25%, and Anthony Hill coming in at 5%.
All right, yeah, no, I like that group. It could be either one of those guys. Taft Daddy, don't be surprised if it's Taft Daddy, because he was one of the guys tied for the lead in interceptions last year. He's always in the right place. Jahdae Barron, I love how they're going to move him around now. I said after the season, if you want him to be a finalist for the Thorpe, you need to promote him as the most versatile defensive back in the country. I've been saying that for months now. It seems like that's what they're doing. It seems like and I don't know if they're going to promote him as such, but they're definitely cross-training him to play every position. Remember, I even told you guys that Gary Patterson read a Chip Brown piece 2 years ago when Gary Patterson was on campus. Gary Patterson thought that he could play safety. And lo and behold, they got him playing some safety. There are not a lot of defensive backs around the country that can do that. Hell, Texas got 2 of them. They got Makuba and they got Jahdae Barron. So I would hope that it would be Jahdae Barron, but I wonder if moving around is either going to really boost his numbers and splash plays and those, opportunistic plays and interceptions, or it's gonna have, little effect, or it might maybe have a detrimental effect where he's really sound and he's really, effective as a player, but he doesn't make as many splash plays because he's not at that nickel position where he's in the action all the time. And I think the purpose of moving him around should be to insert him into more action, to get him in a situation where you are going to basically engineer a matchup where he has the matchup advantage. And I think that's going to be, their goal this year. Let's try to put Jahdae Barron where he can be the most effective and the most impactful on the game from week to week. But yeah, man, havoc plays. I picked Taft Daddy. I voted Taft Daddy. He got 32% of the vote right now. 38% of the votes going to Jahdae Barron. Those are your 2 leaders. It could be Malik Muhammad, but Malik Muhammad, once he gets a few interceptions, maybe 1 or 2, guys, they're gonna stop throwing at him. That's one thing about corner. You can put, essentially, if you're an offensive coordinator, you can put a decoy out there for a cornerback. Just put a guy, not your weakest receiver, but the receiver that you are not trying to scheme open, just put him out there with Malik Muhammad and then just play 10 on 10. That's what some coaches will do. If the corner is that good, if he's that good, he has a potential to be that good. You don't have to. I mean, those guys can get bored. I remember Quentin Jammer and Nathan Vasher talking to me during games. Those guys sometimes got bored because teams stopped throwing to them, and they should have. These guys were really good corners. Malik Muhammad's got that kind of intimidation factor working against him potentially. And then Anthony Hill's a linebacker, and linebackers, even though we saw Jalen Ford lead the team in interceptions 2 years ago and over a 2-year stretch have 6 combined, it's hard for linebackers to lead the team in picks. So I think Taft Daddy seems to be, to me, the safest pick, unless you want to go with somebody else like a Derek Williams or a Makuba could potentially be in there too. So I chose Taft Daddy, who is second right now. Jahdae Barron we'll hear from Jahdae Barron. He right now is, I think, considered to be the leader in that secondary. It's just interesting the approach to training camp with him, that they're moving him around, and Jalen Gilmore is taking most of the first team reps at nickel. And I think that's because they know Jahdae Barron can play nickel. So he's getting reps at corner. Yeah. So he can get more acclimated to corner. At safety, where he hasn't played a lot, so he can get more comfortable at safety. He knows what to do at nickel. He's been playing nickel for 2 years. Like, now you know what to do at nickel. Let's see if you can be your baseline can be just as high playing corner and just as consistent playing safety. And if he does that, oh man, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Havoc players. Jahdae Barron last year, he led the team in havoc plays per game, and that's PBUs, interceptions, forced fumbles, fumble recovery, tackles for loss. Those are your splash plays on defense. He had the most, and Anthony Hill was second. Actually, he and Ethan Burke were tied for second most splash plays, havoc plays per game last season. And then the guys who are returning, because I think Jaron Thompson and then Terrence Brooks were in that category, but Taft Daddy is your fourth highest, I guess, he's your player with the fourth most havoc plays per game based off last year. So we want more of those players, period. The truth is, and the coaches learn this as they get to know the roster and get to know themselves as coaches, there's certain things you cannot coach. You need to recruit what you can't coach. You can't coach speed and size. So it seems like Coach Sark recruits that, right? He brings in a lot of speed. He brings in big humans because he knows you can't coach that. You also can't coach certain types of players, certain skill sets I think are naturally ingrained. I think pass rush specialists are like that. I think you either naturally got it in the BGO. I think you had to naturally have that as a player. You can improve on being a pass rusher, but to be an elite pass rusher, I think it's something that is developed really young in your football skill set. And that's why last year, best pass rusher was Anthony Hill. Even Sark said that. That was your best pass rusher. In the scrimmage, he got 2 sacks. Because he's a natural pass rusher. Even at linebacker, he's still going to be naturally good in terms of the timing, BGO, the bend, to be able to get to he's got a great motor to be able to get to the quarterback. And hell, Byron Murphy was your other best pass rusher. These are Sark's words last year. Byron Murphy's a D tackle. How's he your best pass rusher? Because he's naturally a pass rusher. Some guys, it's natural. It's innate. And that's why bringing in Trey Moore, a natural pass rusher, bringing in a Colin Simmons, a natural pass rusher. I think Ethan Burke's got some of that in him too. I don't think Barron Sherrill's a natural pass rusher. I think Barron Sherrill's a really good player. I don't think he's a natural pass rusher. I don't think he naturally has that elite ability. He'll get better. He'll develop more moves, but it's not natural to him. So I think pass rush is in that category. That's why the coaches are now starting to recruit and just bring in natural pass rushers because you can't develop that. And then coverage specialists too. Coverage specialists are the same way. Guy comes in. That's why Derek Williams was your best coverage safety last year. He was a freshman. Malik Muhammad was your best coverage corner pretty much last year. Guy was a freshman. Because it's natural. You come in as a coverage specialist. Trust me, I was one of those guys. And I think ball hawk ability or your being havoc minded, also the same. It's the same way. And I know this because I played the game. I was not havoc minded. I did not think ball first. I did not go after the football. I played with guys that did. Some guys, when they would tackle a ball carrier, they would secure the tackle first, go after the ball second. Derek Johnson, he was like that. Went after the ball all the time. He was a havoc-minded defender. Nathan Vasher was like that, havoc-minded. Huff Daddy, havoc-minded. I played with guys that were havoc-minded. I was a technician. So I was thinking man all the time. Man, I'm covering the man. The man will take me to the ball. I'm going to tackle the man. I played with guys, they thought ball first. Ball, ball, ball. I'm going after the ball. All right. The man's is in my way of getting to the ball. The ball's in the air. I have a right to the ball. It's mine, not it's not the receivers who's being targeted. I have a right to the football. It's mine. Some guys have that mindset naturally. I did not. I remember that. I did not have that mindset naturally. Had to work my way to making plays on the football. So what you need is to recruit guys also who are havoc-minded defenders. Trey Moore's a havoc-minded defender. He's in there now. You got Jahdae Barron, havoc-minded guy, has been on that field for you. Malik Muhammad now is on the field. He's a havoc-minded guy. I think Makuba can be that kind of player for you as well. Anthony Hill, havoc-minded players. It's all in their programming early on in their development as a player. I didn't get that program early on. I didn't play football early on like that either, but I wasn't that type of player on defense. And I played with other guys who were specialists, guys who were disruptors, but not ball hawks. You need to have some guys are ball hawks and also specialists. I think that's Malik Muhammad. Some guys are ball hawks and also disruptors, but you need to recruit guys who have that mindset that are ball first, havoc minded defenders. I think they figured that out. Like within the last couple of years, because they're looking at their defense and going, well, why can't we make more of these splash plays? We got the best D tackle room in the country. They had for the last 2 years with Keandre Coburn and more Ojimo, and then Byron Murphy, and then Tamondre Sweat. And it's like, well, we're dominating at the point of attack. Why aren't we making more splash plays? Because you don't have splash players, havoc-minded players, guys who will think ball first and go after the football. That's why he's happy about this defense. He talks about them attacking the football like they did in their first scrimmage. You got more of those guys on this defense. Who calls the fumble? Trey Moore. Who got an interception in the scrimmage? Makuba. Right? More of those guys. Who got multiple sacks in the scrimmage? Anthony Hill. Jahdae Barron got a forced a fumble. Havoc-minded guys. You get half of your defense being havoc-minded defenders, then you'll be fine. And I always say there's 3 ways to describe him. You put him as a havoc. He's a disruptor. He's a technician, or he's a ball hawk. And you can be more than, one of those things, but you got to be at least one. And that's how usually I describe my back 7 guys. I was a technician. You need technicians, you need disruptors, but you need ball hawks too. And I think now they're starting to realize you got to recruit those guys. You can't develop it. You can't develop a guy. When Derek Johnson got on campus, guys, he was already doing his signature move where he would do the tomahawk punch or whatever he did to get the ball out. He was doing it as a freshman. He came on campus, did that move in practice, knocked the ball out. Bull Reese saw it, our defensive coordinator, and said, make it a drill. Make it a drill. Well, no, we probably should have called it the Derek Johnson drill. Had everybody on the defense doing it. Secure with one arm, tomahawk, punch it out with the other arm. Can we all do it? Hell no, because we ain't Derek Johnson. You ain't as athletic as him. You ain't as fast as him, and you ain't havoc-minded. So it didn't work the way they playing. Like, oh, everybody can do that. No, everybody can't, coach. We can practice it. But can everybody do it? Nope. Derek Johnson can do it because Derek Johnson's a special kind of freak. Havoc-minded disruptor. And that's why this defense is going to be better. You got more of those types of players. All right, random rant. That should have been my rant today. All right, let's get to the Horn headlines from my man Patrick Davis. Let's get updated, educated, and informed on all the top stories today with Patrick Davis and the Horn headlines.
All right, your Horn headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. In the MLB, the Astros got a 3-2 win over the Rays in their 7th win in a row last night. Jeremy Pena and Alex Bregman got solo home runs, and Yusei Kikuchi got his 2nd win as an Astro, pitching 5 2/3 innings, allowing 1 run with 5 strikeouts. Houston will try to sweep their 2nd straight series. They send Ronel Blanco to the mound to face Zach Little this evening. And the Rangers dropped another game to the Red Sox 9-4 yesterday. Jose Urena picked up the loss, giving up 6 runs in his 4 2/3 innings pitched. The Rangers pushed 4 runs across the plate in the 6th inning, but could not rally against the Boston bullpen. Dane Dunning returns to his starter role for tonight's game, looking to turn around his luck, having not pitched in a winning game since May. And that is your Horn headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn headlines. Let's get to I would say the most disappointing of the Horn headlines. We learned yesterday it was a statement released by the University of Texas. It was a simple one that the injury to Christian Clark will be a season-ending injury. Texas freshman running back Christian Clark sustained a torn Achilles tendon in practice on Monday, will undergo surgery and be out for the rest of the season. Now, we talked about this yesterday, Patrick and I, just a little bit because we were hoping that the injury would not be a worst-case scenario. It is a worst-case scenario. He's out for the season along with C.J. Baxter. Now I think it's even more urgent, Patrick, that you move two guys into that room immediately. Shout out to my man CJ Vogel over at On Texas Football. He is reporting, or at least he did last night. He reported that Ryan Niblett and tight end Juan Davis have both spent time working with the running backs since the recent injuries in the room. That is a good sign. We know Darian Gillette also worked with running backs in the scrimmage. He was working fifth team running back, but also some third string linebacker. So it looks like right now they're experimenting with three players at the running at switching them from their positions to running back. Darian Gillette, Ryan Niblett, two of the ones that I think both you and I, Patrick, thought those were the best possibilities, the best options out of all the possibilities they could be considering. And Juan Davis, is a guy that could be a wildcat option for you. So could Ryan Niblett, also a wildcat option for you. So I think they're just looking for the athletic profile and maybe the background that would make the transition easier for these guys. So those are the three players right now who have been mentioned, or at least reported to have been options in Texas transitioning players from another position to try to add some depth at the running back spot. So now you have three scholarship running backs. We haven't heard from Sark and obviously University. We will at one point when they meet with the media, and I'm sure there'll be confirmation and clarity on, are these guys moving positions? Are they transitioning to running back, or are they going to spend part-time at running back, part-time at the position they are now? For Juan Davis, that's tight end. For Ryan Niblett, that's wide receiver. Darian Gillette, that would be linebacker. I would recommend moving them full-time to those positions so they can get acclimated with the pass protection, the footwork. There's a lot of moving parts in Sark's offense, pre-snap motion shifts. You want them to be alignment and assignment sound. That's a big part of it. Also, ball security as a running back can be a little bit different than ball security as a wide receiver because you're running literally through a line of scrimmage with big linemen. The pass protection is learned. I think for Ryan Niblett and for Juan Davis, maybe not as big of an issue because they should know, or at least have familiarity with the pass protection because they played on offense. But for Darian Gillette, that'd be a pretty big change, learning pass protection and all that kind of stuff too. So I would move Darian Gillette and Ryan Niblett full-time. I would move Juan Davis into a part-time role just so he can learn, because he could potentially be a wildcat option for you. So he could learn, work on footwork, work on pad level, because at tight end, maybe that's not something he has to work on. Maybe pad level and footwork. So maybe I have him do the drills, like just drills with, and then specialized wildcat snap stuff, which he did in high school. But the other guys, Darian Gillette and Ryan Niblett, just because those guys are not in your rotation. Juan Davis is supposed to be in the rotation at tight end. They like him.
No, they've been saying a lot of really good things about him.
So I think they keep him there because they like the depth there. But the other two, Darian Gillette and Ryan Niblett, they're working third and fourth string potentially at their positions. This is another chance for them to contribute and actually see the field. So I would switch those two guys full time.
No, and as we've talked about, we mentioned that there's plays that have been drawn up where you motion a tight end, basically motion your quarterback out to the wide receiver, and you can run those little tricks. Or you can even look at, if you get a matchup that you prefer with Juan Davis in at running back, now with the inside head communication with the play call, you run a no play substitution, no huddle, no substitution, and go try and run your guy out there. And then if you get into short yardage, like you run a play basically from the 25 and you get it down to the 3-yard line, and you just go back and line right up with Juan Davis behind the center at that point and try and push the ball in. Just different little tricks to try and get that red zone up. That's the main reason I like Juan Davis. And there is, how can we find ways to score in the red zone when that was a problem last year? And if you say, this guy's really talented, we want to use him in the red zone, that's maybe a different way you could use him there.
Yeah. I like that. Juan Davis, because of his time in high school as just being a great athlete. I mean, he looks to be one of those guys that could give you an option at the Wildcat. And right now, you're looking for guys who can fulfill roles, right? Ryan Niblett, we brought this up earlier. I mean, coming out of high school in Houston as a recruit, sophomore season, named All-Purpose Player of the Year in District 14 6A as a junior. Had 42 passes, 42 receptions for 759 yards, 8 touchdowns, rushed for almost 500 yards and 14 touchdowns. Also was a return guy, played defense and played some quarterback. His senior campaign, 55 passes, receptions for over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. That's when he really started specializing at wide receiver. But he has a background and athletic profile that projects really well for a guy to switch positions. We talked about Darian Gillette playing some offense in high school. And that's a guy who's really transformed his body. I didn't realize that he was already 235, 6'3". Yeah. He was first team 3A All-State as a receiver and a punter. So he has a profile, a background that it projects to a guy who can transition pretty easily athletically. And then you're talking about Juan Davis, and Juan Davis was versatile. He rushed for 790 yards, 12 touchdowns on 107 rushes as a senior quarterback in high school. So at least he knows how to take that snap as a Wildcat quarterback. So I like that. I like that group potentially to at least give you some depth and bodies in that room. The unfortunate thing is, and knock on wood here, but if you're a coach, you hope and pray for the best, but you got to prepare for the worst. And the worst situation would be, I think we all, understand football seasons are long. Last year, you had 3 running backs that got injured. One was taken out for the season. There's going to be a running back get hurt during the season. I'm not saying it's going to be a season-ending injury, but there's going to be a guy get nicked up. It's just a reality of a position like running back. So you have to anticipate that if you're Sark, and you don't want to be in crisis mode during the season when there's so much on your plate and you have so little time to adjust. Now, you do have the luxury of a little bit of time to come up with a new game plan, to pivot, tweak some things. So these guys have time to learn the position. And as a coach, Coach Sark, you got time right now to help, develop and teach these guys and develop or come up with a new strategy going forward without CJ Baxter.
And I mean, if you look at the issues they had in short yardage and in red zone last year, CJ Baxter was a guy you were really hoping to be a guy that could go and get you 4 or 5 yards up the middle. And you don't necessarily have that guy. We know Jaden Blue can do it, but it's not his forte. And so if you say maybe we can find some other ways to try and create some offense in there, whether it's Niblett doing something different or whether it's Gillette and having him use his size to power through, and you get him and just trying to find guys, or Juan Davis running the Juan Cat. If you want to run any of those, though, they're just trying to find other ways that you feel you can pick up that yardage that maybe you lose with the CJ Baxter, that you're not sure that, any of the other guys are necessarily going to be super proficient at picking up.
Yep. No, I'm with you. And like I said, I think, Darian Gillette, he could add, you've talked about this earlier, another element, right? He's 6'3", 205. So maybe you do add some power. One of the things you are missing with CJ Baxter, he was the guy that was going to run in between your tackles, as you mentioned. So you had variety, you had change of pace, you had complementary skill sets, and you're missing some of that because the guys you have now, whether you're talking about Trey Wisner or you're talking about Jaden Blue, Ryan Niblett's like that too. These are speed perimeter guys. Their elite traits are speed. You don't really have a back, and maybe that's a young buck like Jared Gibson, but you don't have a back right now whose elite trait is more their power and the power running game. And so you're trying to, you're trying to fill roles as well for guys. Wildcat, we talked about that. You brought up short yardage. I mean, guys, red zone, you were bad last year in red zone. 120th in touchdown percentage in the red zone, and a lot of that was your goal line package, which you needed to break out the jumbo package. Remember T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy in that package, just to try to give you some added beef and added mass in the red zone. And by the way, and you weren't even successful running behind all of that mass. No, you were successful a lot of times throwing. Using some exotic play actions out of there by throwing to T'Vondre Sweat and throwing to Byron Murphy. So now think about that short yardage package without a short yardage back, which Texas doesn't have right now. That could be troublesome. But I would say that Jaden Blue is better at running in between the tackles than people give him credit for. He actually averages over 7 yards per attempt last year running in between the tackles. So he's gained some weight. That won't be, I think, a concern. Him transitioning, the concern will be, how much do you bubble wrap Jaden Blue now for Jaden Blue and Trey Weisner for the offseason? Like, you put a green jersey on him? You say it's stud only with those two guys? You talk to the team about it. They understand the issues. We'll hear from Quinn and Jahdae Barron. I don't know as a coach what you do with that because it's still really early on in camp. And I think you got to put those guys on a pitch count because you're talking about these guys, these injuries have been, you're talking about kind of, I think the Christian Clark one was a non-contact injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, it's Achilles. They're usually non-contact.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can say like safeguarding them, but it's like, well, I don't think each of the injuries, I don't know if the contact was necessarily the reason that the guys got hurt either. So, but you do have to bubble wrap Jaden Blue and Trey Weisner to a certain extent. Guys got to make it to the season at least to give you a chance. All right, we'll talk about strategy a little bit and what changes for Sark and the team now. You do have some depth concerns at running back. When we come back, we'll hear from Quinn Ewers, hear from QB1. I think there's going to be a lot. I'll give you that on the other side. A lot put on the shoulders of QB1 as well. There should be, especially now with the running back room taking significant losses. We'll get into that. We'll also hear from Jahdae Barron as well on the other side. We go behind the burnt orange curtain, talking Texas football right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get some Texas football conversation and go behind the burnt orange curtain. Of course, a lot of the talk about Texas football has been about the injuries in the running back room, 2 season-ending injuries, and the players. I'm sure they have all had to not only process that, but I think have the come to Jesus moment as a team that they already have to crystallize their focus, intensify their efforts and their practices. Everybody's got to up their game when you have losses like that, especially to a starter like CJ Baxter. So let's hear from Quinn Ewers, who spoke to the media yesterday, and he was asked about the injuries and how the team is dealing with those. Here is Quinn Ewers.
I mean, yeah, first off, it definitely hurts to see, that go down. And, injuries do happen. It's just a part of the game that we play. And it sucks to see that for sure. But at the end of the day, I think Coach Choice and Coach Sark do a great job of recruiting, good running backs that can ultimately fill in the position if needed. And ultimately, I'm just trying to do whatever I can to help this team win football games. So if that means I need to run more, then so be it.
There you go. Run more. No, Quinn. We don't need you running. Whoa. No, did not like the last part of this thing. Did he really say nope? No, you don't need to run more.
He was asked in the question, with the running game taking a hit, are you going to run more? And then I think he was just saying at the end, it's like, well, I'll do whatever Sark says.
Okay, yes, and Sark will say no.
Yeah. I don't think Sark's gonna call it. Yeah, no. That was the question led him to say that, but he goes, if that's what's required, I'll do whatever I have to do. Was basically what he was saying. Yes,
I'm glad he's gonna do what's best for the team, but no, Quinn, we want you running less now.
Yes.
Okay, work it in the pocket. You got the golden arm. He scrambled really well last year, but still, I don't know. Now we got running backs get hurt. We don't need him getting hurt. He got hurt scrambling last year too.
Yeah, and I think he got asked. I think it was at Big 12 Media Days. SEC Media Days. I think he got asked, did he work on his slide in the offseason? He said no, and everyone's like, dude,
you need to work on it. I agree. Like, what do you mean you didn't work on your slide? You got to work on the slide. You need to slide more. Come on, man. Oh, all right. There you go. I don't like that. But let's hear from Quinn. Continue QB1 here. He's talking about leading after injuries, which is different. I mean, now you're talking about inspiring players, and like I said, everything has to be ratcheted up a notch or a two, right? The intensity at practices, your focus at practice, everybody's got to dial it up more, including QB1. Here is Quinn talking about leading his team after learning bad news in the running back room.
I think so, for sure. I mean, the team definitely, needs that just positivity every now and then, for sure, whenever a couple guys like that go down and in that room, for sure. But, at the end of the day, like I said earlier, I think we have guys that are going to be more than capable of stepping in and filling up those roles.
All right, it's Quinn talking about being a leader after, and remember that's what Sarkis said. He's had the most growth in this offseason is leadership, and he's right. He needs to step up where the team needs him. Like if they need him to be a vocal leader, he can be there. They need him to be a guy that holds guys accountable. That has the guy who need a kick in the rear end. The guys who need motivation. He needs to be that guy that can come in and provide some motivational support. That's what the face of the team does.
And he mentions
he's embraced that.
It's tone setting. Of
yes, I like
when you walk in and people are a little down because, man, two of our guys season into injuries, man, that's hard to deal with because those are your friends and that's your family now. And then to see that, so to have that tone set of like, no, man, we're about to go compete for a national championship. Like we're still the mission's still the same. We're still going. We're still good. Those guys are going to be with us. They're just not going to be able to be on the field, but they'll be with us and keep that attitude positive and the mindset straight going forward. Setting that tone as opposed to, doom and gloom. Well, guys, now we better step up. Just keeping them attitude a little bit lighter and let's go do what we're going to do.
Yep. I totally agree. How they handle adversity. This team did a really good job of it last season. And that's what leadership is all about. Here is Quinn when he was asked about grading the offense in that first scrimmage. Like, what was the grade for the offense quarterbacks after that first scrimmage? Here is what QB1 had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but at the end of the day, that's why we're out here and that's why we're practicing. And I'm going to continue to keep trying to improve my game and improve areas around me and just continue to try to win football games and get to a position where we're at our best.
All right, yeah, because Sark, remarked to the media that there was some pre-snap issues. Offense had some turnovers. Each quarterback threw an interception. Some fumbles on the goal line. So Sark wasn't necessarily happy with the offense. He was happy with the way the defense attacked the football. But there were some, I think, a lot of bright spots on offense. We just focused more on the defense. I think the defense exceeded expectations from the reports from that first scrimmage. And if this offense is going to, be a prolific, lethal offense, it's probably going to be through the passing game. I've been talking about this now since the CJ Baxter injury. You got to lean on your strengths. Your strengths determine your identity. The identity of the offense is going to be a pass first team. You're going to pass to open up the run. Doesn't mean you're throwing it deep down the field every time, but I think leading with Quinn Ewers, a third-year starting quarterback, and leaning on him and leaning on the talent in that wide receiver room is probably a safer bet in terms of determining the identity of this squad. Speaking of those wide receivers, he was asked about one of the newcomers to that wide receiver room, Silas Bowden. Here's QB1.
Yeah, I mean, when he first got here, I could just tell how much he cared about the game of football and how much he really wants to succeed. And seeing that from a guy like him and him being able to go into the receiver room and show how he can play whenever you care that much about the game. And Jade is correct on all those things. He's been balling out, and it's cool to see a guy like him do the things that he does.
Yeah, Jade was really complimentary of Silas Bowden. I think we all have been. Speaking of Bowden, he told a story from the scrimmage about Silas Bowden's passion for not only the game, but for his teammates as well. Here's QB1's anecdotal story about Silas Bowden.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories I could tell. I mean, but I think the biggest thing consistently that I see from him is just his excitement whenever he makes a play, and even whenever his teammates make a play. We had Juan score a touchdown in red zone lockout, which is like a little competition drill that we do, offense versus defense. And Juan scored. It was the red zone lockout winning touchdown, and Silas ran over to him and is like jumping on him and just firing him up. But I mean, it's stuff like that you see, and you love to see things like that whenever Silas didn't get the ball. He doesn't need to go over there and celebrate with Juan, but he does that, and it's those types of things that really, really fire you up.
All right, Silas Bowden isn't the only talented receiver in that room. There are a bunch of them. And Jonte Cook and DeAndre Moore, also two guys expected to be heavy contributors in that room. QB1, Quinn was asked about those guys specifically. Here's what he had to say about Jonte Cook and DeAndre Moore.
Well, I mean, first off, I think the biggest thing for them is just being more comfortable within the offense and knowing what to do in certain situations. And I think another big thing is they're starting to understand, why Coach Sark is calling this play instead of calling another play. And I think just their understanding of the game has improved a lot. And, again, I think they both got to sit behind guys like Jay Witt and AD and, Xavier. So they got to see what it looks like. And, I think they're in a good position right now.
All right, and let's hear from Quinn. This last cut, and we'll get to some Jahdae Barron sound. Quinn has been called out, I would say, even by some NFL scouts about his inability, and I've talked about it too, inability to handle pressure really well. And he's getting, he did better in 2022. I think 2023 was a bit of regression in terms of pressure to sack numbers, sack avoidance. And so NFL scouts want to see him manipulate the pocket better and create space and create more time by maneuvering in the pocket, not abandoning the pocket to scramble, not panicking in the pocket when it starts to close in on you or when they're collapsing their pocket. They want to see them step up in it, I always call it a pocket scientist. Learn how to maneuver in the pocket, create space, and create time. Here is Quinn talking about stepping up in the pocket. Obviously, something he's been working on and emphasizing a lot this offseason.
Definitely has been a big point of emphasis, especially in drop back. I mean, I kind of made it muscle memory and play action, but it was more so in drop back that I was struggling with stepping up. And I think this camp has been great for me. And ultimately I've been able to step up more. And, again, make it more like a muscle memory type thing and drop back. And I mean, that just gives me more time and, less chance of, a sack fumble and me trying to run away from all these other guys coming at me.
Yeah, I mean, if Quinn can master that, watch out, guys. He's going to break records, and he's going to be in New York City. I mean, Quinn's allowed pressure percentage in 2022, 14.3. In 2023, 22.4. You go look at Quinn, you were sack rate according to Sports Info Solutions last season, 33.8. Pro Football Focus pressure to sack percentage for Quinn, they got him at 24.3 in 2023. They got it at 26 when not blitzed, 23.8 when blitzed. You go look at pressure to sack numbers for him in 2022. He was at 13.9% according to Pro Football Focus. So they got to figure out who's the real Quinn, the 2022 Quinn that handled pressure better, or the 2023 Quinn that seemed to panic under pressure and didn't respond really well. If he steps up in the pocket, that's what scouts want to see. That means he has evolved as a quarterback in terms of the way he handles pressure. And then I think his sack avoidance metrics would also improve drastically. So good stuff there by Quinn. I like that, him stepping up into the pocket, something he's been working on. Let's hear from Jahdae Barron, another leader for this team, this time on the defensive side of the ball. Makuba was asked about, Jahdae Barron was asked about Andrew Makuba. And they've been really proud of the fact they're representing Central Texas. Both of these 5-1-2 guys, Makuba played at Clemson, and now here in the secondary, both of these guys can play any position in the secondary. Listen to how complimentary Jahdae Barron is of Andrew Makuba. Here's Jahdae.
Amazing. He's a smart player, well experienced. I'm gonna speak highly of him, not just because that's been my guy for 10 years, but he's a smart player. He knows the ins and outs of the football. If he's beat somewhere, he knows how to recover and win on the back end. But that's a very smart player. He's good to have him in the back end.
You got to be smart. If you can play any position in secondary, you got to be smart because you got to learn all the different keys and responsibilities and the alignment and the assignment instructions for all the different positions. So the football IQ is definitely through the roof in that secondary because you got two guys that can play any position in that secondary. Speaking of Jahdae playing any position, he was asked about playing the outside cornerback spot because he's played nickel and now they got to move him around the corner, even got to move into some safety. Here's Jahdae Barron on playing the outside cornerback spot and what makes it challenging.
Honestly, it's been good. They've moved me around, safety to all, safety, nickel to corner. And I think it's good because, if something happens there at a position, I kind of know the feeling if that person, if I was at nickel and I didn't get a deep enough drop for the safety, I kind of know the feeling. I know what it feels like. So just knowing all the ins and outs of each position, it kind of helps me to be in a better position, and it makes me a smarter player knowing what's happening over there and what's happening over here on a more of a better standpoint.
All right, there you go. Jahdae talking about how they're moving him around. He also was asked about the difficulty of the nickel position, which I think is the most difficult position to play on defense in football today. I mean, it's like you're living in the multiverse. You can be a blitzer one down, run stuffer next down, setting the edge one down, taking on a pulling lineman the next down, covering the wide receiver in the slot one down, covering a tight end, covering a running back the next down. You can be driving back in zone coverage. There's no telling what you're going to be doing from down to down. Here is Jahdae Barron talking about the challenges of the nickel slot corner position.
The challenge it is it's kind of reading like red light and green light and those things, just knowing when it's run and when it's pass. It's a bit of, I wouldn't say it's a bit of a challenge, but it's just kind of be on high alert and always ready for something. Like I said, like nickel's that position where you can be in the play like every single play. So just kind of being on high alert and what's coming, read option, line screens and things like that. But at nickel, it's kind of a give it away. You can give it away by just looking at the line. They'll tell you if they're trying to break the glass, it'd be a run and things like that. So just kind of paying attention to your keys and stuff like that.
And I said earlier this year, if they want him to be a Thorpe Award finalist, I think he was a semifinalist last year. They want to be a Thorpe Award finalist. They need to promote him as the most versatile defensive back in the country. There's not a position secondary he can't play. And if they do that, he's going to make plays wherever you put him. But if they do that, then he might find himself as a semifinalist for the Thorpe. Maybe that's why he changed his number to Huff Daddy's number. He wants to, pay homage to Huff Daddy. Well, Huff Daddy won the Thorpe. That's the best DB in the country. Here is Jahdae Barron on that prestigious Thorpe Award.
It'll be amazing to win any award, but the main goal is we're trying to worry about Colorado State right now, and that take care of itself.
All right, so he's being humble. He's being humble, which I appreciate. But he did change his number to Michael Huff's number. That's a bold statement in itself. Just says that how much confidence he's got in himself and his skill set, though, to wear that number 7. All right. Thank you, Patrick, for getting that audio. Good stuff there. We'll try to play some more of that audio later on the show. We got Nick Shuley coming up at Setlist ATX in the 9 o'clock hour to talk about some of the most talented music artists coming to town and where you can see them. But coming up next, we got Off the Record. We got some wild, wacky stories from the sports world, some beyond, and we'll share those with you on the other side, right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Low and Rod Babers. Coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into a little off the record conversation here. A couple of stories that I want to bring up here for off the record. The first one is, remember we said, at least it was reported, and we reported the story that Jim Harbaugh was going to be the honorary captain for the Michigan Wolverines season opener because they basically was going to give the middle finger to the NCAA, like F you. You're going to suspend our coach and give him a show cause. Hey, we'll bring him back and we'll show some love and celebrate our national championship winning coach, who's also a Michigan man. And I was like, man, that is a dangerous thing to do considering they haven't really punished Michigan for the sign stealing scandal yet, and they still have yet to do that. They could decide to bring the hammer down on y'all. Why would y'all want to give them the middle finger? So obviously, so they have rescinded that that move. Apparently, the Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh won't be returning to Ann Arbor for the first game of Michigan's 2024 season. Harbaugh is going to be honored, but I believe his parents apparently are going to be there instead of him. That's what I read somewhere. But it said on Tuesday, Michigan head coach Sharon Moore told reporters that Harbaugh would not be joining the team. Moore said Harbaugh told him that he wants to focus on the Chargers. So that one story says that they want him to focus on the Chargers. He said he wanted to focus on the Chargers, and that it was Jim Harbaugh's decision, not Michigan's decision. So
I mean, he's still a Michigan
either
man.
way, it's good. Yeah, but they shouldn't. I mean, that was just that being blatant, man. You're just being disrespectful.
Well, and there was the other quote that came from that interview where he basically said, "I can't wait till the deleted texts come out."
Yes, that is out there as well. I almost feel like that's like a separate story where he's like, I can't wait for the delete. That Sharon Moore, the current coach, says he can't wait for the Connor Stallions text messages to be revealed publicly. And I'm like, why? He wants them out there.
I mean, unless there are that he's like, I know what mine were, and mine were, Connor, stop texting me. Connor, I don't care. Hey, man, we're good. Oh, cool. You wore a hat on the sideline. Dude, stop.
Yeah, I don't exactly. I don't know why he wants those texts up there. Those texts can't make you look good.
I mean,
especially
if you deleted them. If you deleted them, then it makes it seem like they probably don't make you look good.
Yeah,
but who knows? Maybe they aren't as bad, and maybe that's why he wants them out there, is because he hears one narrative that they were doing all these things, and it's like it wasn't that complex.
Yeah, he says, I'll just say this. I look forward to them being released. That's what Sharon Moore says.
What if they're all just making fun of Ohio State?
That would be awesome. That would be great if they're just mocking Ohio State somehow. That would be epic. I'm kind of rooting for that.
I just wanted it to be just a line of making. It would be like if Sark has deleted messages and they're all just OU sucks jokes.
That is great. Yeah, exactly. They're really vulgar. That's why you didn't want them out there, because vulgar and crass. But it's like, no, we don't care. It's our rival. You can talk about them however you want to. You can be as disrespectful to Ohio State.
They give him a contract extension before game one if that was the case.
I actually like that, man. That's pretty good. Hopefully, it's just I don't know what. Apparently, there was a rumor. They were fake at the time. There were some fake. Texts going around. Did you see those?
I saw some fake ones,
and they weren't real though. But apparently, some people think they might be really vulgar. And I'm like, well, coaches talking to coaches, they probably are saying some really vulgar stuff. But it remains to be seen exactly how it all is going to go down with the Connor Stallions punishment for the Connor Stallions controversy and scandal there at Michigan. There will be, remember that Netflix documentary coming out. I believe Connor Stallions is going to be featured on the Netflix documentary about the sign stealing scandal. And it comes out, I'm going to say, the end of this month.
It makes sense. Come out right before football season.
Yeah, I think they're going to do it right before football season. And honestly, I want to see what Connor Stallions has to say. The guy's a legend now among Michiganders and all the Michigan faithful. All right, another story here that I want to get to. Do we have time to play the Michael Irvin sound?
Yeah, we can. It's not great audio, so we may cut it at some point. But
if it's not great audio, then we don't have to play it.
Yeah,
we're up against it.
Yeah,
he's ranting on you, right? He's in a public place, so it may sound different. All right, you won't have to hit that then. Okay, let's hit the break then, since we're close to it, and then we'll come back on the other side, and then we'll get into NFL news, notes, and nuggets. I want to dive into the Dallas Cowboys' latest achievement, which sets them apart from every other pro sports team in the world. Y'all got to give Jerry Jones some props for this. Y'all probably don't want to, but I have to.
Not a fan cares. Not one of them.
You're probably right. Yeah, I don't know if they care about it, because it doesn't affect them. It doesn't help them at all.
No.
It doesn't benefit them at all, but it benefits the Dallas Cowboys. Trust me. And ultimately, I think fans are upset because this may be Jerry Jones's goal ultimately. This is something that he may care more about than winning championships, and he won't admit that, but he may care more about it than winning championships. So we'll talk about that. Also, we'll talk about the latest in the Brandon Ayuk saga. Reports are that he and the 49ers are now close to a deal. At first, it was him and the Steelers were close to a deal, and then him and the Browns were close to a deal. Now him and the 49ers are close to a deal. We'll give you the latest. Also, could Jamar Chase be ready to hold out? If that's the case, that will also affect CeeDee Lamb's contract negotiations with the Cowboys. We'll get into all of that and more. We got Raj Rant on the other side as well. We'll get into some havoc rates and Raj Rant of the day. We got a ton to get into right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming back on the Horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a One Artist Wednesday edition of the Rodcast. That's when my man Patrick Davis goes deep down the rabbit hole into the catalog of one specific artist, group, or a band, and focuses and makes them the feature of One Artist Wednesday. And today that is Dire Straits, the featured group of One Artist Wednesday. So we appreciate my man Patrick there. Is this the jam?
This is the jam. Are you not aware? You don't know this one either?
I've heard it before. Yeah, I'm familiar.
You're familiar with this one? Okay,
I'm familiar with it. Yeah. Is this like the biggest hit they've had?
Yeah, this is their biggest hit. This is the iconic one with the intro with Sting doing the intro that I Want My MTV with Sting.
Okay, nice. I like that.
Which is
and it was literally a shout out to the MTV generation.
Yeah, it was basically the whole song is basically done from the perspective of a guy who's watching MTV and being like,
gotcha.
These guys aren't doing anything and they're making more money than I am, which that was the controversy in it, which was it got banned in Canada, I think in like 2011, something like that, because there's the homophobic slur in one of the verses.
Oh,
and his retort to it basically was like, feel like we shouldn't have put that in there. And he was like, it's not me. It's like, it's the guy.
It's the guy who's angry.
He's basically like, I'm calling this guy an idiot who's who's saying that this is so easy that you guys are doing it. And then there's an iconic music video that apparently Mark Knopfler didn't want to do because he was like, I just want to play guitar and like perform in front of people. And they're like, yeah, but you know how much more money we can make if you're on the MTV? And so they had to and I think it was like his girlfriend finally had to convince him that it was a good idea to do this video. And then it's an iconic video because they did it with all the like the blocks and this weird animation.
Oh yeah, I saw that, the weird graphics and everything. So it's just and that's so he was anti MTV before.
He was anti music videos. He just didn't want to. He just didn't want to basically,
music television. So that's what they used to play on music on MTV. Well, now they don't.
But it's it's whoring your art out is in a music video to some guys. So like, look, I want to play and perform, and that's what I do. I love the music, and then pretending that there's this whole video concept to it is not real, and I don't want to do that. And then they're like, yeah, but you should.
everybody's trying to get to the point where they can sell out. It's don't worry. It used to be a thing like, oh man, he sold out. They sold out. It's like, I think everybody's trying to sell out.
Me. I've had that conversation in bars plenty of times. People talking about different awesome musicians who sold out by playing like venues that were slightly bigger than other venues. But
yeah, exactly.
But they'd be like, they sold out. And I'm like, so if they called you right now and offered you a gig, you wouldn't take it? And they go, well, I'd take it. And they go, then why are you mad? You're mad
that's
they
selling
got
out.
It and you didn't. It's like be better.
We all want to sell out. I would say that the American dream has changed now. We ultimately just all want to make more money for less work. That is the American dream now, in a nutshell. Are we all trying to get there? More money, less work. Don't be mad at the PIF guys and the Live guys for that. Like, no, they making more money and they're working less. That is ultimately all of our goals, and it's gonna be. It looks different for everybody. Good stuff there. I always learn something new in the musically themed days of the week. All right, and we'll also learn something new when we get to the Horn headlines here momentarily. After that, we're going to have my man Nick Shuley from Setlist ATX and let us know about some of the very talented musicians that are going to be in town and where they're going to be playing at. So we'll give you the details there. Then we'll dive into the latest achievement from Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. And if you're a Dallas Cowboys fans, you should be proud of this achievement. A lot of Cowboys fans, they take no pride in this, but this sets you apart from every other pro sports team in the world. Nobody does this better than the Dallas Cowboys. We'll discuss that when we come back. Also, we'll get into the latest in the Brandon Ayuk trade and saga, and also Jamar Chase. Could there be some drama with Jamar Chase and the Bengals, and how would that affect the wide receiver market overall, which is where we find CeeDee Lamb in the Dallas Cowboys contract situation. So we'll talk about that. Before we do, though, let's hit the Horn headlines. Let's get updated, educated, and informed with all the top stories of the day with Patrick Davis and the Horn headlines.
All right, your Horn headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. In the MLB, the Astros got a 3-2 win over the Rays in their 7th win in a row. Jeremy Pena and Alex Bregman got solo homers, and Yusei Kikuchi got his 2nd win as an Astro, pitching 5 2/3 innings, allowing 1 run with 5 strikeouts. Houston will try to sweep their 2nd straight series. They send Roniel Blanco to the mound to face Zach Little this evening. And the Rangers dropped another game to the Red Sox in a 9-4 game yesterday. Jose Arena picked up the loss, giving up 6 runs in his 4 2/3 inning pitch. The Rangers pushed 4 runs across the plate in the 6th inning, but could not rally against the Boston bullpen. Dane Dunning returns to his starter role tonight looking to turn around his luck, having not pitched in a winning game since May. That is your Horn headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn headlines. Appreciate those. All right, let's get first to my man Nick Shuley. Then we'll come back and dive into some Cowboys discussion, some NFL news, notes, and nuggets. But first, let's dive into Set List ATX with the man Nick Shuley. We appreciate all of his time. He's a man about town. He's a busy guy, but he makes time for us, and we are very grateful for it. What's going on, Nick? How are you, brother?
Oh, no, I'm doing great. I appreciate y'all for making time for me.
Oh no, man! We know you got stuff going on, and actually, people told me they really do like this segment because you kind of give them some places and some plans to make throughout the week with your Set List ATX. Before we dive into that, though, let me ask you how you feel about Texas' running back room right now. A lot of doom and gloom after 2 season-ending injuries. What are your thoughts about where Texas will be depth-wise in that running back room?
I mean, biggest thing is it's heartbreaking for those kids. Obviously, they had some big dreams this year, but I do think, look, the CJ piece is losing CJ Baxter is a huge deal. Like that changes a lot of the outlook in that room, and I mean, you guys have talked about it a lot of the pony package and these pieces. You got to kind of move things around. But Patrick and I were just talking about it, during the break about the Christian Scott piece is. Having depth is great, but the odds that Christian was ever going to see the field this year are pretty small. So that I don't feel like that, and that's nothing against Christian. I think he's going to be a great player, but I just think that as far as the plans go this year, you just need to make more plans for depth. I would have put money on Christian redshirting this year.
You're probably right about that. If everything had gone according to plan, but now,
correct.
2 season-ending injuries there. You had these young guys; they got to grow up quick. And Jerry Gibson, to your point, he was ahead of him on the depth chart, even when they played they started the scrimmage. He was 3rd on the depth chart. Christian Clark was 4th on the depth chart at the time. So Longhorns, if there's any position room, and we talked to Trey Weisner on our 3rd and Longhorns podcast. So shout out to Nick Shuley and the crew, and Derek Johnson, and my man Alex Okafor, and Jeremy Hills, and Fozzie Whitaker. And that interview was before the injury, of course, but the timing of you guys releasing that was impeccable because Longhorn fans were thirsty to try to.
We're geniuses, Rod. We're all geniuses. We just planned it perfectly.
I really don't know if y'all planned it out that way, but it just seemed like it was perfect timing.
Absolutely.
But Longhorn fans wanted to know about the mindset of Trey Weisner. I think they didn't really know much about him. And that interview, the whole purpose of 3rd and Longhorn is to give Longhorn fans some insight into the player, into their journey. And I think that was perfect timing. So raise up, just giving a shout out to you and Higgs doing a great job as always.
We appreciate you, man. I think that interview was so cool for us because most of us hadn't even heard Trey ever speak. Like I'd never heard him do interviews. And so just hearing his story and how mature he is, I think we all walked out of that room like, I'm a Trey Weisner fan. This kid's gonna do something. And just the way he carries himself and being the oldest child in the family, like he's a natural born leader. And I just love his attitude. And I think he's going to set a great example for not only that room, just for the team. He's impressive.
Yeah, after meeting him, I have less anxiety and panic about any situation that a running back room has to deal with because I think they have the leadership to overcome it. All right, let's get right to it because Nick is a busy man. Let's get to Set List ATX. We always started out on Hump Day on a Wednesday. What you got for us, Nick?
Yeah, we got a big one at the Moody Center tonight. The Kings of Leon, everyone's favorite Sooner fans and big time rockers will be playing there. I'm curious to see if they always, it says Kings of Leon on the drum, and in the O of they always have a U under it. So it's a painful part. I think they're originally from Tennessee, but I guess they lived in Oklahoma because their dad was I think an evangelist preacher, and so they travel all around as like a road show or something, and they were part of the music, and that's
they gonna do that in Austin too.
Oh yeah, they've done it in Austin. They stayed true to it, and the drummer's a beast though, so you like want to hate on him, but then you see him drumming, and you're like, dang, this dude's kind of cool. I'll forgive him.
Respect it. Nice.
Yeah, and then over at Stubbs Outdoors in the heat will be every emo fan's dream. There's gonna be a lot of sweaty older emo people at this one. Hawthorne Heights Thursday, and Berlin Emory and This Wildlife will be playing there. That's a big one for the emo kids. I identify with that crowd as well.
Did you have an emo stage?
Man, I mean, I might still be somewhat in it. I don't know. I'm wearing Vans right now, so yeah, I don't think I ever outgrew it. But I was more of a punk kid, but the emo phase was like that's where the punks could let out their emotions. So was a big deal. That was where we unpacked things. And then John D. Graham, Austin legend, will be back at the Continental Club, and he's playing with his son William Harries Graham, who's I got a chance to see, and I'd never seen William play, and I was really impressed. So it's that'll be a cool show over there. And then Thursday, another big one at the Moody Center with a band called the Wallows, who I found out the lead singer was the star of the Netflix show 13 Reasons Why. And that, I think that was probably part of their success, I'm guessing. But they also listened to some of their music, and it was really good. So once again, another band selling out the Moody Center that I was discovering as they play. And then a really cool one in San Antonio at the Stable Hall in the Pearl development down there. The Far Side will be playing there. Who, if you're a old school West Coast hip hop fan, the Far Side are absolute legends. The Far Side, no doubt. Yeah, that'll be a cool one. And then a cool kind of folky punky show over at the Mohawk with Dave House and John Wesley Coleman. And then Friday, up and coming young country star Wyatt Flores will be with 49 Winchester at the Whitewater Amphitheater in New Braunfels. And then a really good soul R&B singer who I like, Alan Stone, will be over at Stubbs. He's got a phenomenal voice. And then Austin legend Bob Schneider will be over at the 04 Center, which I always push this spot. It's actually a church, but they do concerts there late, and the sound there is phenomenal. You actually sit in a pew and watch these shows, so it's a cool experience. It's like nice. Right by Matt's El Rancho.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I can picture that. I think.
Yeah, it's you don't notice it until you actually realize it, and then you see it every single time. Okay, but it's a cool spot, and then a really cool up and coming Austin rock band who kind of, I would say it's like 70s rock sound. The Past Lives will be playing at Stubbs. And then another big Austin artist, there's a theme here. Monty Montgomery will be playing at Antone's, and he's phenomenal. He's one of those that kind of gets just lumped into the Austin sound, in my opinion. But he's like insanely talented. Every time I see him, I'm like, dang, you're really good.
No, he does a cover of Sarah Smile.
Yes.
And then he actually did it on Live at Daryl's with Daryl Hall.
That's right.
They did it up there with him. So he's a super talented guy. Really nice guy, super talented.
I feel like we kind of forget about some of these John D. Grahams and these Monty Montgomerys who are just incredible.
He has his own sound too, because he plays acoustic more and so he's got his own sound, but it's really, really talented.
Yeah, super cool. And then speaking of older, super cool artists, one of my absolute favorites of all time, legendary. I believe the best genre to describe him is cow punk, is what people say. And it's Alejandro Escovedo will be playing at Green Hall with another one of my favorite Austin artists, David Ramirez. So that will be a super cool show. If you've never been out to Green Hall, it's worth the journey. It's it'll be a little sweaty, but it's worth the journey. Yeah. And then Saturday, the shock rappers Suicide Boys with Denzel Curry will be at the Moody Center. And then top 40 country star Billy Currington will be over at Whitewater. And more emo kid dreams. The Juliana Theory will be at the Parish. Once again, there's a theme here. And then one of the best Tom Petty cover bands, the Damn Torpedoes, will be over at Antone's, as well as Austin's up and coming guitar god Paul Val will be at the Continental Club.
Whoa.
And then, speaking of guitar gods, on Sunday, one of the most legendary guitar gods, a world legend, Santana, will be at the Moody Center with
that's legit there.
With one of my I call it a guilty pleasure, but I have no guilt about it. I absolutely love the Counting Crows, and the Counting Crows will be opening for Santana. And Counting Crows were one of the first bands my dad and I actually connected on, because I would never admit that his artists were good, and he would never admit that my artists were good. Yeah. And it was like our first neutral ground. So they have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, Adam Derwitz pulling families together.
Yeah.
Weird hair.
Yeah. Oh, man. My dad and I have driven to Allen, Texas to see the Counting Crows. That's where we're at. So anyways, and then the first hip hop tape I ever bought in my entire life, Diggable Planets, will be at Empire.
I remember them.
Yeah.
Is that cool like that?
Cool like that. Yeah.
Whoa. That just rings a bell.
That's a jam. I remember that. Yeah. I bought that tape. I thought it was so cool.
Great
man.
beat, though. One of the all-time greatest beats in hip hop, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Nice.
And then on Monday, the king of crooning, Barry Manilow, will be at the Moody Center.
Still doing it.
Yeah.
Well, how old is Barry Manilow?
You know what? I should have looked that up, because I actually thought about that while I was driving over here. I was like, man, how old is he now? I've been hearing his name since I can remember walking.
That is crazy. He's by himself. He's not like with no group or nothing.
Man, I haven't followed his career as closely.
He can do it on his own. Okay.
81 years old.
Wow.
Oh,
Still,
Wow.
I bet there's a lot of sitting down and singing.
Yeah, I want to see that demo. Like, how's the demographic of going to see Barry Manilow? What's the range of? He's been performing forever, so you got some 80-year-olds in there. But what's the youngest people in the Barry Manilow crowd?
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a rebirth of Barry Manilow fans out there, of like 18-year-old kids that love Barry Manilow,
or at least so it might have somebody in their 20s and 30s. I wonder if there are anybody who's still Barry Manilow fans of a younger generation, or is it all old people?
I'd actually be curious about that. There has been that with like Morrissey and artists like that, where
there's a resurgence, right?
Yeah, Morrissey became huge in Mexico, and it was all with kids in like high school who thought like worshipped his music, and so his shows just turned into like a completely different demographic. So I could see that with Barry Manilow, like some hipster being like, you really have to check out the intricacies of his voice or something. He's bending the notes like nothing I've ever heard. But anyway, and then over at Moody Amphitheater Outdoors, young Miko, who's a big up and coming Latin trap reggaeton artist, will be there. And then everyone's favorite movie star, Russell Crowe, and his indoor garden party will be outdoors at Stubbs. And I looked it up because I have never listened to Russell Crowe's music, and it is described as melodic soft rock review. So
so is he just producing, or is he perform? What is he doing?
He plays, man.
He just showcases.
I do remember. I did go. I got dragged to. I did go to one of his shows a long time ago at Stubbs. I think his band was called like 30 Odd Foot of Grunts.
Wow,
that was the name of it. And I remember I got dragged to it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool to see Russell Crowe on stage. Are you guys ready to take off?"
Yeah. Hey man, we saw it.
Yeah, exactly. We were there. And then
that is interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, cool enough.
Then Tuesday, man, and Rod, this is one you should check out too. If I could push anybody to go see a show, I would push everyone to go see. There's an artist called Lucky Day, and he's playing at ACL Live, and it's like neo soul, like R&B, and it sounds like at points like the backing track of all the Organized Noise, Outkast music. Like it has this like cool, spacey, little George Clinton vibe, but a little more progressive and cool. I am obsessed with it. So if you haven't listened to Lucky Day, it's just easy to listen to. You just feel cooler when you listen to it.
Nice.
And I need that.
I'm writing it down. I'm gonna go check that. If I can't go to the show, but I'm gonna go look it up. And I'll go download some of the music myself. I appreciate it. That's also why I like Nick coming on. I feel cooler because I write down some of these and then I bring them up in casual conversation. Have you heard of this Lucky Day? Oh man, I'm telling you, you gotta check them out. Lucky Day, they're fantastic. They're the next big thing.
It's cool. I have it every time I played it. It's one of those where you play it somewhere and people are like, oh, who's this? This is cool. You know?
There you go. Those are always nice to have.
Yeah.
Just pop them in the playlist.
Keep it in your back pocket for the house party.
Got somebody in the car that normally you don't drive with. You go, oh, I can impress.
This is what I listen to all the time. Yeah.
Oh, have you heard that new Lucky Day song? Have you heard that? Oh no, you don't know who they are?
You don't know him?
Oh,
yeah, but it can backfire when it happens, and then you realize, like when they like, oh, dude, I've known about them forever. Yeah. I mean, that's actually you're late to the party. That's when you feel bad about yourself. You're like, damn it, I thought I was.
Oh, that's
cool.
not the new one.
I thought I'm lame.
Yeah, or they go 28 songs deep. They're like, but you know this one when he did his third record, and you're like, oh gosh, I'm out of.
Like so when Tom left the band, who's Tom?
Wait, there's more than one person.
Exactly. Yeah, that can blow up on you real quick. Hey, Nick, thank you very much for the time, man. We appreciate it as always. Great job, and can't wait to talk to you next week.
Y'all are the best. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's my man, Nick Shuley. You can catch his work. We do a podcast, the Third and Longhorn podcast, which is really, really fun. He joins us every Wednesday for Setlist ATX, which we really appreciate too. All right, we're going to take the break. Make sure we get out early here because next segment, we'll cover it all. We'll cover the Cowboys. We'll cover we'll also get into the story about Brandon Ayuk and where he stands with the 49ers. We'll get into the Jamar Chase story where that puts CeeDee Lamb in his negotiations with the Dallas Cowboys. If that wide receiver market shifts just a little bit, we'll cover it all. All of that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming back on the Horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into Rod's rant of the day. I want to start with this news about the Dallas Cowboys, this achievement by Jerry Jones that I think is worthy of discussing. The Dallas Cowboys are now officially valued at $10.32 billion. That is going to make the Dallas Cowboys the most valuable sports franchise in the world. First franchise to ever crack the $10 billion valuation overall. And actually, that means the Cowboys are probably, if they are ever sold, I don't know if they would ever sell, the actual sale price would probably be much higher than that. If you go look at North American sports franchises, the next closest in terms of valuation would be the Golden State Warriors and the New York Yankees. And honestly, guys, they're about $2 billion off of the Cowboys. They're not even close. The Cowboys have, think about it, this is how much their value is skyrocketing. The Cowboys have added almost $1 billion in value in the last 18 months. And talking about every 2 years, they're adding like $1 billion potentially in value. And by the way, with sports gambling becoming more and more common and more mainstream, that's going to help the overall valuation. God, if they ever make it past a divisional round, I don't tell them what that's going to push the Cowboys valuation to. I mean, they actually start winning some playoff games. Man, they could go to $12 billion valuation overall, something crazy like that. The $10 billion, and it reminds me of the quote. And I brought this quote up to you guys a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at the reports about CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys. And I found this Jerry Jones quote from John Machota, and I will not get rid of it because I think it is such an insightful quote into really the the thought process and the mindset of Jerry Jones as the owner / GM of the Cowboys. He was asked about CeeDee Lamb's contract situation and said, quote, because I think he was getting frustrated with y'all mocking him and essentially calling him an imbecile and saying he's a bad businessman. He's like, what? He got frustrated. This was when he was away from the podium. He's talking to the media. He says, quote, I'm just going to say this to y'all. Give me some credit, okay? Y'all don't think I'm good with numbers. You think I know how to add and subtract? Do I know how to talk and sell? I realize all the criticism and I understand it. As a matter of fact, I try to stir it up, and I have since I got here. That's good. Be relevant. It works. There's a reason I call him the number one TV star on the number one TV show in America. America loves football, the most watched programs. If you go look at a top 100 most watched programs in America, 85 to 88% of them are always NFL games, period. You can sprinkle the rest into some presidential debates or whatever it is, or some maybe election coverage this year will jump in there. Some college football games will jump in there, but mostly you're talking about the NFL, and nobody boosts ratings like the Dallas Cowboys. And I've been saying this for a while, just because it's bad business. And yes, waiting to sign CeeDee Lamb to the midnight hour, and hell, waiting till you got to deal with the Micah contract and the Dak contract, and having all three of those guys, essentially all demand top of the market money and have to pay that within a calendar year. Yeah, that's probably going to be bad business, but just because it's bad business doesn't mean it's bad for business. And for Jerry Jones, that's Jerry Jones's philosophy in a nutshell. It may be bad business to wait so long to sign CeeDee Lamb. Prior to this offseason, only one wide receiver was making over $28 million a year. Now you got 5 of them. And then pretty soon there'll be 6 when Brandon Ayuk gets his deal done. Prior to this offseason, 0 receivers had over $75 million guaranteed in their deal. Now there are 4. Pretty soon there will be 5. And then there'll be 6. So yeah, waiting to the midnight hour, not real, to me, not, good business practice, right? That's bad business, but it's not necessarily bad for business because it creates headlines, and we talk about the Cowboys a lot. Jerry Jones is the best promoter in sports. I ain't say he's the best general manager in sports, but he's the best promoter in sports, and he promotes the Cowboys brand like nobody's business. And they're always in the headlines, They always got storylines. I always say conflict creates storylines. There's always a lot of conflict around the Cowboys, whether it be management and labor, whether it be between the players themselves. And there's always some beef. Somebody talking about Micah's podcast or former players talking about the Dallas Cowboys. There's always some beef there. Hell, even between players' families and players' siblings. Dak Prescott's brother gets in on it. CeeDee Lamb's mama gets in on it. Conflict creates storylines. And storylines, they transcend from the sports page to the front page. Jerry Jones knows this. And Jerry Jones understands to start all that, you need villains, right? Villains create conflict. Conflict creates storylines. Storylines transcend from the sports page to the front page. And nobody knows that formula better than Jerry Jones. All right. It's entertainment in its core. And most people don't understand that and don't want to acknowledge it. And fans don't care about it being entertainment, but it is. And in entertainment, you got two rules. You got to be good or you got to be interesting. It helps if you're both. But if you're not one, you better be the other. And the Cowboys, they're okay. I don't know if they're that good. They can't win the postseason, but you can't deny they're really freaking interesting. I mean, interesting as hell. They got all kind of storylines, and Jerry Jones knows that. And by the way, guys, you can't say it ain't working. But is it ultimately for Jerry Jones? Is that his goal, or the championship's his goal? And I don't think Cowboys fans at this point, I don't think Cowboys fans know. And I think that's what drives them crazy. No, they don't know if this is what Jerry Jones is trying to achieve or he's actually trying to achieve championship success on the field. Because championship success off the field, valuation-wise, Super Bowl, baby. Championship. Nobody's better.
I don't know if because I don't think the question is not, do we know whether he wants to be the most valuable or win Super Bowls? The question is, can you do both? Because we know he wants to be the most valuable. Like, that's a given hand. Like, that's clear. The question is it possible to be this machine? Yes, because
the Warriors are doing it. The Warriors did it.
But they didn't. But they had the drama. But the dramas kind of helped kill the Warriors at the end of the day. Like, that's what started to lead to the end of the Warriors was the drama.
Yeah, but their valuation, it skyrocketed because they were winning championships. Now, but the drama came later after the dynastic run. So, and the Yankees have always been there.
And they didn't have the Jerry Jones. If he's got the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show, he's got his reality, his documentary that's going to come out. He's got all these different hands and butts. I mean, look, I like Deuce Vaughn as a player too. The guy didn't even play in the first preseason game. Deuce Vaughn was selected for one reason. For a good story. They had the cameras in there, and he knew that they were making a draft special, and he said, how am I in the trailer for that draft special? I'm going to draft this dude's son, and we're going to go in there. Because he could have picked him up as he wasn't going to get drafted. He could have picked him up as an undrafted free agent. I like Deuce Vaughn, just that's the reality of it.
That's not a good of a story, though, Patrick.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not as good.
No, but that's my point is he knew, how do I make myself the trailer for this? Yeah. How do I put myself on social media and make the Cowboys relevant? I have this really feel-good story, and then screw it. 6th round pick. We've traded those off before. You miss on some of them, and maybe he'll work out. But we need this pick, and that's Jerry Jones.
That is Jerry Jones. Yeah, that's a great example, actually. It is a great, because it's like, you needed a running back. Was that the best option for you? No, but you're right. In terms of storylines, that you milked that thing for like 3-4 weeks. And it was like, I think that was all you talked about during the preseason was Deuce Vaughn. Yeah,
it's that, and that's the reality. Is Jerry Jones is, can you mix those together? Can you mix together? This will get headlines, and it might work. Is that how you build and can win a Super Bowl doing that? And then maybe if you get 5 or 6 of those things that all might work, and they all might work at the same time, you can make a Super Bowl run. But that is a lot of hope.
And hope is not a strategy.
No, but it is for Jerry Jones.
Because
he's been selling hope for 20 years.
I was going to say, because
it's a business strategy. It's not a football strategy.
Well, I said, I mean, he's brilliant at that, right? Every offseason, it feels like by the time you get to the end of training camp, Cowboys fans have convinced themselves, all right, I think this team can compete for it. This is going to be different. This team is going to be different, and it's actually not different. I mean, no. I'll give you some of these.
They let Micah Parsons run the ball in practice the other day because they were, they say we don't got to run it back. Let Micah run it, and maybe it'll work.
Storylines. and to your point, Patrick, maybe that is the reason, right, why the Cowboys seem to, at least in the last 20 years, hell, I guess you can go last 30 years now, honestly, that the Cowboys seem to get to a certain point and they can't get past it, right? And they can't get past the divisional round. That's why the Cowboys have not advanced beyond the divisional round since 95. Cowboys are 5-13 in the playoffs since 1996. Dallas is the only team with 10 plus losses and 5 or fewer wins in that time span. The Cowboys are the first team to win 12 games in 3 straight seasons and fail to make the conference championship in any of them. That's since the Super Bowl era. So the merger in 1970. The Cowboys are the only franchise to have 2 quarterbacks to play in 3 or more divisional round games without winning one of them. Yeah, I mean they have 8 one-and-dones in playoff performances since their last conference championship game appearance in 1995. And they can't say talent is the issue because last year, more All-Pros than the 49ers and the Ravens and the Lions and the Chiefs. So you got better players. There's something else holding this organization back. And maybe you're right, Patrick. Maybe you can't be the champion of overall, like Jerry wants to be, of the headlines and also be the biggest TV star on the biggest TV show in America and also win championships. He's going to test it, though. He'll test it. He'll test whether that can be achieved because there's no way the Cowboys are going to take a back seat in terms of their star status. Literally,
and it's also it's that line of having the most all pros versus when we look at like the Chiefs, and I know that's they're in their own world, but when we look at the all pros for Dallas, they got all this talent, and we look at the Chiefs and we go, well, they had Snead, who was the best bump and run corner in the game, and then they had Chris Jones, who's the best defensive tackle in the game after Aaron Donald retired. And then they have one of the best left tackles, and then they have the best quarterback, and they have the best tight end. And you go, so it's not just that they
best defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but it's like it's not just the all pros. They have the best player at that. So while the Cowboys have all pros, these other teams have the best player at something, and they build these guys up to be those great instead of having 1 or 2 all pro years and then not paying them or they kind of fall off after that so there's talent there, but again, it's not creating that culture of being the greatest.
Yeah.
It's creating the culture of being really good. Really, really good.
In the regular season.
Yes.
No, it is. I mean, they're really good in the regular season, and they can't seem to get past that divisional round.
Yeah.
And like I said, because you've gone through multiple quarterbacks, and that being the case, multiple head coaches, and that still is the case. And you start checking off, okay, well, it's not necessarily one specific quarterback that's holding us back there because Romo and Dak had this issue. It's not one specific roster or the brand of football you play because you've gone through different iterations of that, different iterations of head coaches and coaching staffs. And you go back to, well, what's been the common denominator here? What has been in place through those 3 decades? And you keep going up to the top. I mean, it's your management. It's your leadership. And until that changes, I think Jerry Jones is the problem, but also he's the solution.
Yeah.
And that is the gift and the curse for Cowboys fans.
Yeah.
It's him. And he knows how to win a championship, guys. He knows. He's done it already. He knows you got to hire a football guy, just like the way the Texans did. The Detroit did the same thing.
Yep.
Detroit started hiring football people. They hired the GM, Brad Holmes. He took it from there, hired another football guy in Dan Campbell. Texans did the same thing, hired Nick Caserio, football guy. And then he hired another football guy in D'Amico Ranch. Once you hire the first football guy. If you hire the right one, he'll take care of the rest. But Jerry Jones don't want to do that because he's the football guy. I'm the football guy. And it's like, you're not, though. You're not. You're a great marketing man, and your branding and your, oh, man, just the way Jerry Jones just promote his ability to promote and being a kind of a publicist for that brand. He's unbelievable. But he's not a football guy. And I think ultimately, if there's any insecurity for him being, a billionaire and being an amazingly successful story in all of sports and a Hall of Famer now, that Jerry Jones always wanted to be considered a football guy.
Yeah. And I mean, like he's done
like, you can't have everything, man. It's okay.
And like,
you're still good.
I'll give him credit. Like you bringing in Will McClay and having him and being a piece
of football guy.
And they brought a football guy, and that's why their drafts have been really good. They usually draft really well. And so, but that's partly because he's trusted the right people, football guys, to find his draft. Now, the problem is then you don't have football guys getting your coaching staff. You don't have football guys making trades.
No.
You don't have football guys in free agency as much. You basically have football guys in the draft is where you're really spinning it, and you do that really well every year.
So
and then everywhere else is where Jerry wants to take over and go, well, that's the money stuff, so I want to do the money stuff. And you're like, oh, but Jerry, it's not the fact that you can save yourself $3 million and then you feel like you won that, and that's why you're a great businessman. But then we lose some of these negotiations and all this. It's not how you build the right winning team. But
no,
it's the way you make money.
A great example there. Will McClay is a great example, and their drafts are some of the best in the NFL. Yeah. And so you can't pretend Jerry Jones doesn't know how to win, guys. He does. He just wants to do it his way. And if he can't do it his way, then he'd rather just do it this way. Just, constantly, basically, you as an organization, you're limited. You have a ceiling as an organization now. And it's all because Jerry Jones has decided, and you know what? I need to get credit for this championship success. And I want to be a football guy, even though I'm not. I really want to be considered a football guy. And I think a lot of that it kind of goes back to that with Jerry. He's always wanted. And then Jimmy Johnson poked at him. You're not a football guy. Get the hell out of my war room. Like Bill Parcells mocked him. Football guy. Damn, I don't know football. Jerry's like, I played ball. I played ball at Arkansas. I know ball. I bought this damn team. I know ball. And it's like, yeah, Jerry, you know ball, but you don't know as much as these guys. That's their expertise. They're better than you at this. You can let somebody else be better than you at that, and then you can just pay them money to do well for your organization. And he won't do it. So Bill Parcells, Jimmy Johnson, as my man Patrick pointed out, Will McClay, prime examples that Jerry Jones knows how to win in this league. He just doesn't want to do it that way. He wants to do it his way. And that is ultimately the frustrating thing for the Cowboys. Has to be for Cowboys fans. All right, let's talk about the wide receiver market really quickly. Speaking of the Cowboys, Brandon Ayuk. So the latest reports are that the San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Ayuk are actually now very close to coming to terms. Apparently, based on a Mike Garofalo report, the 49ers and Ayuk's team are one item away from finalizing a deal. Apparently, they're at odds right now negotiating there's one issue. We don't know what it is, whether it's guaranteed money or the length of the deal. It could be a clause in the contract of some kind. But apparently, they're close on everything. And there is one item holding up an agreement between Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers. So he might end up staying a 49er. And if they're close, to me, that means they may not have met the guaranteed money. That means they're in the salary range, though. And the salary range would be $30 million a year. He said he wanted Amon-Ra St. Brown money. I don't know what the holdup could be, Patrick, but
I don't know if it's cash.
He's stay there now.
There. I don't know if it's years. I don't know if it's. And I looked up the no trade. It can't be that because there's 7 players that have it. They're all quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's a quarterback thing, right?
Yeah, and there's only 7.
It's not every quarterback. You got to be.
There's 7 in the league.
7. Yeah.
There's 7 in the league. So it can't be that because that one they just go. No one gets this, and you don't get
Nobody's got it. No, you ain't that good, dude. No. So it's length of the deal or guaranteed money. Then I think guaranteed money might be it. Guaranteed money might.
It might be that back
because they still got to pay Trent Williams.
They still got to pay Trent Williams. They're still that Brock Purdy thing is hanging over their heads. They know that's coming
next year. Yeah.
And
Debo at one point is probably gonna go, hey.
Debo's contract's coming up soon enough.
And what I say, at one point, Debo's gonna go, hey, I know y'all got Christian and Trent and Brock, but and Ayuk, but I want to be paid. I don't even know what Kittle's got going on. Yeah, I mean, they can make it work. This is why it's frustrating for Cowboys fans because the 49ers make that work. Teams like the Eagles, they make that kind of stuff work. And it's like, what's holding up the Cowboys? Because they're not really paying anybody that kind of big time money. They just don't want to spend the cash. So it looks like Brandon Ayuk will be a 49er, or at least I'll say that's the latest report. At one point, he was going to be a Steeler. At one point, he was going to be a Brown. At one point, we thought the Patriots were going to, go and be the team that was going to be the front runner in the Brandon Ayuk trade. I'm not sure where it's going to end, but I got a feeling that he wants to be with the 49ers. And that the 49ers know that if they lose Brandon Ayuk, there is no replacing that productivity or that player. So they was like, you're gonna not shut it, but you're gonna start to close your championship window if you lose Brandon Ayuk. I mean, that's basically, to me, that's gonna accelerate the shutting of your championship window, and you don't want that right now. You need Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, because if you got Amari Cooper back, at least you're saying that's still a really productive wide receiver, and you know that could put us in. But if you're not getting back somebody at that, like there's 10 to 15 guys in the league that maybe could do it, and you'd have to pry one of those guys away from the team they're already on, and none of those they're not available.
Nope.
So
I think it's just the right move for them. It's probably going to make their life hell paying Trent. They're probably going to give Trent Williams basically an end of career kind of deal, because I can't imagine Trent Williams is old. People don't realize that he's old for a left tackle. So I think they're going to give him maybe like a 2-year, maybe what they're doing with Travis Kelce, give him 2 years and basically almost guarantee all of it and say, hey man, this is kind of your parachute deal.
Yeah, Trent Williams, 36.
Damn, I thought he was. Oh, I didn't realize he was that old. Okay, Trent Williams can't get so he's gonna get a 1 or 2 year deal. They're gonna pay him basically a guaranteed amount of cash, give him a bag, so he'd be happy. I didn't realize he was 36.
Yeah, he's 36.
Honestly, that's their championship window too. The 49ers lose Trent Williams. I'm telling you guys, that offensive line's not that good. They lose him. That window is shut.
When he got hurt last year, when he was out, it was very noticeable when he was out last year.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
very noticeable.
People think the best player on that offense is Christian McCaffrey. It's actually not.
Yeah,
it's Trent Williams. He's the best player on the offense and probably the most valuable, indispensable player on that offense.
Especially with the young quarterback, man.
Even more so with the young QB. All right, one other little nugget here. How about this one? Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase has not been practicing during training camp. People believe that's because he wants a new contract, but he's been holding in. He's been present, but not practicing. That is not the case anymore. On Tuesday, multiple reporters, they reported that he was absent at camp. Some people say this is because they're traveling this week to Chicago, so maybe he took the rest of the week off. Maybe he's going to travel ahead of the team to Chicago. Or maybe he's so frustrated with the Cincinnati Bengals and this contract situation that he's going from hold in to hold out, something a little bit more aggressive that may be able to incentivize the Bengals ownership, but probably only ownership that's not worth $1 billion. People say the Bengals are cheap. I don't think they're cheap. They're just not billionaires. I mean, a billionaire. It's tough to keep up in this league.
Yeah, and you got to pay Hendrickson. You know, Joe Burrow, you just paid a bunch of money to.
Yeah, man. That's tough. And I know Jamar Chase is probably going to want the Justin Jefferson deal.
Yeah. By the way,
if CD gets it, he's definitely.
Can we tell you, Justin Jefferson's got to be a pretty sad guy today? That JJ McCarthy news.
Oh, yes. Out for the season. He had a good preseason game, too.
He did. Well, I don't know if he's technically not out for the season yet because they said they have to do the surgery. And then it's either a partial tear or a full, and they don't know how much they have to fix it. And so if it's partial, it's like, I don't think you'd still play him this season.
Yeah, why would you rush him back?
Yeah, I don't think you would. But technically, the recovery time is way different depending on how bad it is. But
who's their backup?
Sam Darnold, the starter.
Oh, the Sam Darnold sleeper cell. It's back. Sam
Darnold. Not the backup. The starter is Sam Darnold.
Oh, man. How many teams has Sam Darnold been on now?
Who the backup to Sam Darnold is the question.
Hey, Cowboy, you may want to trade Trey Lance over there. You get you a deal.
Hey, you know where Trey Lance is from? Minnesota.
Where? Did not know that. That is random. That's a nice little nugget. Did not know that. All right, more nuggets coming up for you. We'll play Who Said That on the other side. That's when Patrick plays pieces of audio from the sports world, sometimes beyond. And based on the context clues or familiarity of the voice, you have to identify who said that. We'll play that when we come back right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the Horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a One Artist Wednesday. That's when Patrick, my co-host and the Idealionaire, comes up with all the musically themed days of the week. But on a One Artist Wednesday, he goes deep down the rabbit hole into the catalog of one specific artist, group, or band. And once he finds enough of those bangers, they become the featured artist, group, or band for One Artist Wednesday. And today, Dire Straits. Being that band. So I appreciate Patrick all the musically themed days of the week, but especially on a One Artist Wednesday. He also comes up with the topics for the big fat poll of the day. Big fat poll of the day is who will lead the Longhorns in interceptions this season. If you missed one, you can leave it below, but your options were Michael Taft, Jahdae Barron, Malik Muhammad, Anthony Hill, and looks like Jahdae Barron right now is your leader. 35% of you believe Jahdae Barron will lead the Longhorns interceptions. Malik Muhammad coming in second now, 33%, and then bringing it into third, Michael Taft at 27%. Still pretty close there, though. Still pretty close. You're basically breaking down to a third. Anthony Hill, only 5% of the voters think he will lead the team in interceptions. There you go. That's the topic for the big fat poll today. Go check it out at the Horn ATX on the X in the X app, if you will. All right, let's get to who said that. That's when Patrick plays pieces of audio, and based on the context clues or based on the familiarity of the voice, you have to identify who said that.
I'm Dave Canales. I'm the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. No signing bonus. Rise up this morning. Okay. Smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birds on my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody's pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Somebody sing now. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright.
Well done, Dave Canales. I like that. New Panthers head coach. I got to tell you, he's likable.
He is.
He is very likable,
so
man.
They do the rookie talent show. It's kind of the rookie hazing at this point, but because he's a first-year head coach, he said, I'm going to go be part of it, trying to associate with these young players to build that team up. Jonathan Brooks is there. JT Sanders. I'm hoping it works out there in Carolina.
Deshaun Jameson also. Carolina.
I'm hoping that it works out there. And
I like him. Yeah, I do.
I like Dave Canales.
He's very authentic. Kind of reminds me of Sark. He's been very open with his struggles personally. Infidelity on his wife, addiction to like porn and other stuff. He's been very open. Him and his wife wrote a book about it. And because of how authentic he is, it almost feels like he's just more relatable. Everybody can relate to him because of, he's been, like I said, very open about his struggles and invites people to want to be a part of his journey. All right. Thank you very much, Patrick, for being a part of our journey. Thank you guys for also being a part of it today. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We talk about it right here on the Rodcast. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Hook 'em and peace.